The Kengineer! Oh my god!
Wait, are they here?
Kengineer, Kengineer.
Good evening, one and all. It is Wednesday, it's the middle of the week, and it's time that we jump into some more good old Warframe. Hope you're doing well where you are around the world. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for the Quinn for getting us started with a little bit of an old soundbite. Still lovely all the same. And yes, we do have the Urple in the background that has been successfully taken away from Petra as well. Sorry, Petra, sometimes you just have to be quicker off the draw. It's not like you didn't know it was there, I suppose. And today is exactly as the goal states. The first thing I wish to do is very simply fiddle around with a ribbon mod. Because this lovely ribbon right here, Verglas Vexavisicron, a crit chance electric and pure damage ribbon with minus damage to infested, it's about perfect. If I wanted electricity on the Verglas. And I don't. I mean, it's good enough. It is. But I simply don't want to settle for good enough. I want it to be a crit chance.
Got my monthly ribbon ad break to remind me to do this Kengi sip.
Thank you very much, Sir Kelton. Dropping your prime over here up onto 20 whole months. Much appreciated there, cheers, Kelton. Much appreciated. Hello, Melka Raven. Welcome in it. So yes, this Verglas ribbon, it needs a tool be better. It is the slightest of differences of better needed, but it still needs to be better, and better I shall attempt to make it. Now let's do a quick little check here. I've got 792,221 Kuva, 3,500 roll cost. I can attempt this 226 more times. That should be fine. 3 hours of rolling? No, Petra, it won't take that long to run out of Kuva. But I do want a better ribbon, and then we can get on to the Kestrel. But this is first because I want it. More crit chance, the rest of it terrible. But yes, I really just want to get this going along the way there. Quite simply. I've been sat on it, and I finally decided it needs to happen. It needeth happeneth. Right, cheers. This will also show anyone who believes otherwise the absolute folly of ribbons. And I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about if I were to make a change that both improved ribbons, hey, nice crit damage viral ribbon. If I wanted to improve on the current ribbon design, whilst also maintaining something of the market around ribbons, I've been thinking, and I think I've figured it out. It is a two-step process to make ribbons so much more, not necessarily better, but with an end goal in sight. Rather than just this slow roll process, grind. So the two-step process, first will be to introduce a new item, which would be a ribbon infuser. A ribbon infuser would be an item that starts off unassigned. Also, this is so close. 2 of the right stats. Oh well. A ribbon infuser would start off unassigned, and you would assign it by giving it 10 mods of the correct stat. So say, for example, primary critical chance, you could get any primary mods, or mods that go into a primary weapon, that give you critical chance. You do 10 of those mods into it, and it turns into a primary critical chance ribbon infuser. With me so far? That is step 1. Step 2 is then you need to actually apply it to a ribbon. Don't do this to me. You need to actually apply it to a ribbon. And the way I would have that applied to a ribbon is that you could apply 1, 2, 3, or 4 ribbon infusers to a ribbon to guarantee those stats. But, and this is a very, very big but, the Kuva cost to apply those ribbon infusers would be equal to the average amount of Kuva spent to get that combination of stats to show up. So if you just put on a critical chance one, well, critical chance is one of however many stats there are. And if you're just putting on one item, then there's a 50-50 chance of rolling 2 stats or 3 stats on the Riven. And it's a bit of mathematics to figure out, okay, so what is the actual chance of that stat showing up then? And if it was, say, 1 in 15, I don't know what the actual number is, but if it was 1 in 15, then the Kuva cost to roll the Riven with the Infuser equipped to it would be 15 times the normal cost. So you're not getting the Riven any cheaper, as it were. You are scrubbing out all of the luck and narrowing it right down to the mathematical expectation to lock it in on that stat. And the other stats will just roll alongside it. Now, if you lock in 2 stats, okay, now the chances are vastly lower of getting both of those stats at the same time. And so the multiplier to the amount of Kuva spent to roll it with those 2 infusers attached will be vastly higher. And yes, this would also very conspicuously show just how much Kuva you can expect to spend to turn a Riven into a certain set of stats.
Oh, to walk in on the Gamba.
Hey, Zilon of the 564 variety up onto 13 months, much appreciated there, thank you very much. And yes, welcome to the Gamba, as I have a bit of a discussion of an alternative method that could be less Gamba, more grind, but yeah. Oh. Cheers. But that would be my approach to it, having brand new items, so it's something new to farm for, because let's face it, if Warframe's going to introduce anything, they have to introduce a farm behind it to give us something to go and play or spend flat on. That's fine, I get it, you know, live service game. The selection of 10 mods to create the Infuser, well, that's basically just a hurdles for hurdles' sake, I'll be quite honest. It does mean that some stats are a little bit harder to put into place than others, but, you know, it just makes things a little bit more tied into the world rather than just push button, get result. And then the Kuva multiplier really, honestly, just makes it where the Riven still holds value for directed to a specific stat. If you're okay with a range of stats, then you just lock in less, but you're still spending proportionate to the amount you're trying to lock in on the Riven. And crucially, there are many stats that you can't get mods for, so you just won't be able to lock those in. For example, negative damage to infested doesn't exist. There isn't a mod that does that. I suppose the only way around that would be if they allowed you to use 10 Riven mods to create a Riven Infuser. Imagine the market interest in purchasing 10 minus zoom Rivens to shove together to create a minus zoom Riven Infuser. Could shake things up a little bit. Could create a little bit more demand and interest for the otherwise not so interesting mods out there. I think that could be of value both to gameplay accessibility and to the market for it in general. Yeah, does that mean that a 3500 cost could end up being, oh, you want to get this stat, this stat, this stat, and this stat? Cool. That'll be 35 million Kuva. No. But if that's the price of guarantee, that's the price of guarantee. Once you got it though, oh boy, you would feel the value in such a Riven. The other thing I'd go with on such a setup is that whenever you roll a Riven and it's using one or more infusers, the roll count on it would go up based on the multiplied amount of Kuva being spent. So if it would use a 10 times multiplier, so you'd spend 3,500 Kuva 10 times over, it would also update the mod to show it's had 10 rolls applied. Because you spent 10 rolls worth of Kuva, you should get 10 rolls worth of Endo out if you do dissolve it or whatever. That'd be the way I'd go with that. This, no good to me. Keep trying. I would say, if you remember right through video, you have to roll 4,000 times to get the perfect god roll, so it can now end up 14 million. Wow. There we are then. So if you're locking in absolute perfect stats all the way down the line, 14 million Kuva. Which, I mean, if we're talking an absolute god roll, that doesn't sound completely unreasonable. Because if you take it just one step down from that, take just one stat out, your rolls would be... well, like... hold on a second here. If I'm just gonna... 4th roots, 4,000, then cube the result. So that would be 4th root of 4,000, and then cube it 503 times in that ballpark, which would be 1.8 million kuva. Sabers, very good estimate. The point being is that the more you want to lock in, the more the price goes up to account for just how much you are forcing its stats. Fundamentally, what that would be doing is effectively doing the rolls that many times over and giving you a mod that achieved that roll. But on an averaged basis, because say if I rolled this Riven 15 times, there's no guarantee that I could get critical chance to turn up. But at the same time, if I rolled it 15 times, it could turn up all 15 times. The full spread of potential is in there. That is... gods. An anti-corpus blast riven that takes away your crits. Ew! A critical punch through that does no damage. Wonderful. There's only one stat on here I need to change. I've already announced it, and that is I want the electricity to be heat. And the problem is that is an exceedingly unlikely roll. Correct concept, yes. If you have a negative crit damage, as in you bring your crit damage anywhere from 1.0 down to 0.0, then rolling a critical will reduce the amount of damage you deal. And it can't reduce it into negative, it will just reduce it down to 0 to the point that you just don't deal damage. Do not pass go, do not collect 200 affinity at that point. This is just that Riven but worse. No, stop that. Yeah, it is going to be a while before either my Kuva expires or this Riven gives me exactly what I'm looking for, but, you know, I would really like to improve upon this. And let's face it, what else am I spending this Kuva on? I don't really engage with the Riven market. I could do, I choose not to. So I am throwing my resources at this to see what I get, and I'm hoping to goodness I never misclick. Because if I misclick, I'm going to be devastated, as this is currently a very good roll. I just want it to be better. Hello Oni, welcome on in. What's the target? Crit chance, damage, heat, and then a harmless negative. At the moment I have crit chance, damage, electricity, and a harmless negative. The chance of me getting better on this is... it's not high. It is not high. I haven't run the actual numbers on how high a chance it is, because let's face it, statistics do not affect the individual. Every roll, either I get it or I don't. The chances involved are chances involved, but chances are just chances. Reality will only ever be one thing. And in lieu of the ability to perceive all of the universe simultaneously in all of its aspects, we can only observe a apparently random result. So I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope that that random result rolls up my way. That was it. My tinfoil hat tells me the odds go down for the stuff on the rolled mod. Yeah, that is pretty baseless. That is pretty baseless. I did investigate ribbon rolling and found there to be basically no bias or interest to it whatsoever. Balls King, thank you very much for dropping off your sub here once again on that tier 1 for 22 months. Much appreciated. Yes, indeed. Want to say it's 50%? No, it's 100%. You are always guaranteed to get your roll. That happens 100% of the time. You roll the ribbon, you get a roll. Oh, the rest of that's just bookkeeping. Oh, that is a nice one. That is a nice neutral ribbon right there. No bonus to damage, no bonus to element, but we do get crit chance and crit damage in one go. Nope. Nope. Not going to do that, but before I roll any further, let me just remind myself of the exact build that I have on the Verglas and what options I have to amend that based on results that we get here. So yeah, it is set up with 2 elements, and then this is acting as our 3rd element. We've got crit damage, fire rate, crit chance, this is giving crit chance. We need the 2 crit chances together, so there's no wiggle room on that. Okie honestly, this could have rolled cold or toxin, and I could have replaced one of those instead with a heat one, although I'd honestly prefer the heat on here, because the heat would be more powerful than the 60s are offering themselves. But yeah, if I get a crit chance, crit damage, I'd still need pure damage as well. This is doing 3 things at once. I cannot go for a 2-star ribbon. I need it to be all 3. Crit chance, damage, and then one of the elements almost certainly has got to be heat. If it's going to be a god roll, it's got to be heat. There. So Quintus, the galvanized mods on a companion weapon like that, the companion cannot trigger them, but the companion can benefit from them if they are triggered. Which means that if you have if you have galvanized aptitude on both your companion and on your primary weapon, and your primary weapon gets a kill, galvanized aptitude in both cases is now stacked. That is my understanding. Now that was how it was last time I checked. Bear in mind things break and change invisibly all the time, so whether that's still true, I leave that as an excited viewer, but when I did test it, that was happening. Yeah. What's my main way to get Kuva? Kuva just kind of ends up in my inventory. I don't intentionally try to farm for Kuva. It takes a long time to farm for Kuva in a very limited number of areas in ways that I'm not particularly enthused by. And this is a big part of why I don't really engage with the Riven market, because I don't want to be spending that time gathering resources in an unfun way to me to generate stuff to just hand over to other people. At that point, I could just do something else. Especially with the layers of RNG on top. There. Ew, a almost undamaging blast. Screw that, Ribbon. Igni no, my Italy no. How many rolls am I planning to go for? Till I run out of Kuva. That is legitimately the plan. I will burn all of my Kuva here, attempting to get a better roll than I already had. I know that logically speaking, I should have bought another Verglas Ribbon and rolled that instead. Not going to do that. What's the way to prevent auto-linking on Twitch again? Don't leave the words connected. You put Warframe.market. Instead, just put Warframe Market. If you create a link, you create a link. So guys, is it alright to ask a question about the interaction between Augment and Arcane for specific Warframe and the fact that you want trouble to go through? I mean, you're welcome to ask questions. Whether or not you'll get the answer you're looking for depends on the question. What's your question? Also, that was close to a nice one. Crit chance, damage, fire rate, and damage to infested. But if this is the other way around, that'd be genuinely tempting. But it's That is no good. Nope, nope, nope. Thoughts of the interaction between Loki's damage decoy augment and arcane impetus for Caliban or any other frame. So you're looking to use a subsumed ability to give you the triggers for arcane impetus, which, if I recall, it was strength and something else. Let me just grab the wiki on this one. Impetus. Let's see, strength and efficiency. So you're going to use a subsumed ability to get strength and efficiency. A subsumed ability and an arcane to get strength and efficiency. Is that the best way you can go about those stats? Genuine question on that. Is there nothing better you could do with your subsume? Let alone a... Oh yeah, and an augment slot. Very true, Andreka. So it's a subsumed ability, a mod slot via the augment, and an arcane. Just to get more strength and efficiency on your Caliban. Can't say that rates highly to me. Does the rim polarity affect anything? It affects the polarity of a mod slot that it goes into. If you're expecting it to affect something else, nope. It's the crazy thing with ribbons is that people have these wild ideas as to what affects them because they're RNG. This happens almost every single time something with some imperceptible feature exists. In this case, the imperceptibility is there is RNG involved. You can't see how numbers are rolled. Every time that happens, people start coming up with theories. Some people say them in jest, others genuinely just have a thought and believe it must be true because they thought it. It's wild. And by and large, you can dismiss every single one of these thoughts and conjectures just as readily as someone states it. That can be stated without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Concept, it's not even confirmation bias some of the time. Some of the time it is literally people just have an idea, they state it. You ask them, okay, where'd you get that idea? I just thought. Well, no, the fuck you didn't think. Thinking is a process. Having an idea come to mind is just the goop between your ears getting a little squiggly with some bioelectricity. I would not credit that with the word thought. Now, so that's looking for. Looking for crit chance, pure damage, heat, and then a viable negative. If it comes without a negative, I'll be mopey, but I'll accept it. But if I don't get those 3 stats, rolling again. Fair enough, Sangai. Fair enough. Long story short, Sangai, you're using a subsume, an augment, and an arcane to give yourself a little bit of strength and efficiency. Are you sure that's the best idea you could come up with? That's the much more blunt answer to your question. I see it so many times that people will communicate a thought, communicate a concept of an idea, and it's like, have you done anything to even begin to validate if that is real? And the answer is almost universally no. Crit chance toxin multi-shot. So I could take out the multi-shot mod instead of the pure damage mod. Problem is the multi-shot mod is galvanized chamber, which stacks up pretty damn easily. And so I'll be losing a whole bunch of multi-shot there. Better question, is this better than that Riven for my purposes? The answer to that is no. And this is why I probably should have bought another Verglas Riven and rolled that instead. Oh well. We keep going. We're not even at 100 rolls yet, so we're fine. Yeah, skeleton. No. No, that has all the trappings of a Riven that looks mostly correct, but it's just not. No. We keep going. Ah, no. What is that? Minus fire rate. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. You went for crit chance, multi-shot, and heat? Fair enough. I won't go for multi-shot. I think pure damage is honestly the better pickup, because getting pure damage available to it is more difficult than the multi-shot. But that's my personal take on it. Mostly because we don't have access to the Steel Path Arcanes for them. Hello, Absasana. Welcome in. Heat multi-shot and then crappy stats. No, 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 no. What's my opinion on utility ribbons? I don't know that I really need an opinion on utility ribbons, I'll be quite honest with you. What's your example there? You got a head that's got minus recoil, plus reload speed, and plus fire rate. I mean, what opinion do you expect me to have? I'm looking in my head at the litany of options I could go for here. Do you expect me to turn around and be like, no, that is bad. How dare you not go for absolute DPS maxing? Or, sure, yeah, go for it. Whatever's fun to play with. I mean, at this point, I would hope you understand me enough to know that I'm going to err on the side of, does it make your game experience better? Cool, go for it. If not, what are you doing? Brother only asking, doesn't multi-shot work like additional damage with beam weapons? It causes beam weapons to apply more damage based on the multi-shot formula, and apply more status based on the multi-shot formula, which has some weird stuff to it. But it still comes down to the same overall output increase. When did sentinel damage become worth rolling for over just apply more status for condition overload mods? It feels like you've never noticed that the Verglas exists, Sangai. Minus status duration on a plus crit plus multi-shot is rude. That is just rude. Oh well. So Sangai, the normal Verglas, not the Prime, the normal one, has stats exactly equal to the MR8 weapon, the Glaxion. Now if we have a look at this here, this is normal Verglas's stats. We got 8% crit chance, 2 times crit damage, 34% status, 26 base damage, fire rate 12. Verglas Prime, still the same fire rate, crit chance has gone up a little bit, crit damage has gone up a little bit, status chance has gone up a little bit, and the damage went from 26 to 32. So there's multiple stats of just increased power. And the reload is actually a fair chunk faster. That's pretty nifty. Beam range, no change. Punch, no change. Yeah. So the Verglas Prime is straight up better than the Glaxion MR8 weapon, except it's attached to an aimbot with infinite ammo. That can get some work done. Aimbot with infinite ammo, and then also whatever you can put onto to companions to make them even crazier. It's the only sentinel weapon that is worth its damage. The rest of them, they're either utility or just actually bad. Irredeemable in most cases. Some people have a penchant for the Hellstrom, and I could see its uses, although the travel time is frustrating. The Tazakor has some place. The Volclock, Volcax, and Artax all have some niche uses. But in terms of a sentinel weapon that feels like an actual goddamn weapon, it's the Verglas. Wow, just basic heat multi-shot. Fair enough then. Not what I'm going for, but I acknowledge that it existed. Ew, Nope. Definitely not. That's a beam with performance issues there. What is that? Imagine if these two were the other way around. Negative damage to infested, positive critical damage. Oh, could you imagine the value that Riven would hold? I think we could call this one a dog roll. If no one's already coined the term, I'm coining the term now. This is a dog roll. It looks like a god roll, but it's actually backwards. Let's keep trying. Nope. I think we started from 16 rolls today, so spent a little bit of Cuba. But it's fine. No. So that's an interesting one. Plus elements, plus fire rate, plus damage. Minus stage duration, useless. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I have noticed, I don't think I've rolled a physical stat once on this. When did that change? That didn't used to be a thing. You could roll stats that were completely ineffectual. When did that change? Hold up, I've got to look at the wiki for that one. Riven mods, patch history, there we go. Fixed issue where weapons could end up with rivens that aren't compatible, for example, projectile flight speed on Vidaria Prime rivens. That was 15th of October 2025. Interesting. Are you telling me that wasn't intended? That wasn't intended all this time to just have Bupkis stats on the RNG machine. I feel like that will walk past me there. Like, it's one thing to say issue where weapons could end up with rivens that aren't compatible, but like, what do they mean compatible? It's not so much compatible, it's more a stat that has no effect. Ineffectual. Interesting. This has leads to frequent feel bad moments. I get that, but then also we have stats which are objectively just stupid. And they exist too. But yeah, it occurs to me, I've not seen a zoom stat, I've not seen a slash, not seen impact, not seen puncture. Because that means then that the chance of a harmless negative is much lower. Because we don't have a throwaway impact stat, we don't have a throwaway puncture stat. We don't have the ability to zoom. This is curious. No chance of negative slash on elemental weapon? Yeah. Whereas I could have sworn that wasn't always the case. Could have sworn. Hold on, let's go through. Let's go down the end because this is sorted by recent, so these should be my oldest ones. Minus zoom is yeah. Can finger up slash? Must do. Must have slash. The problem is I'm going to have not kept really shit stats, so it's going to be a lot harder to verify just on that basis alone. This swarm. Hold on. Any ribbon? Yeah, there's a couple here. There are a couple. Yes, Tulsa definitely has slash. Quanta is a projectile speed, so that's okay. Have I gaslit myself on this? Core? Hold on, I forgot what the Okicore damage type is. Okicore is puncture radiation. Aha! Aha! Didn't think it doesn't have slash? Okay. Well, at the very least, we've also got the Okicore one. So it did used to. It did used to roll stats that couldn't be on the weapon. Also, Brigand, thank you very much for raiding on in. Welcome, welcome. Hope you've had yourself a wonderful stream, and welcome everyone who've just come on over with Brigand. We're in the midst of rolling Riven and also discovering that Riven stats have changed. Fundamentally, the stats that you can roll on a Riven have changed. In a, dare I say, throwaway line. This is a big deal. And for those of you who care about Rivens, am I wrong in saying that this is a bit of a big deal? And then we're getting into ones where I've not even touched the stuff so far. Sporothrix, God knows what the actual stats are on that anymore, I forget. Yeah, I've not kept much that have such silly things. Stropher, I think, has a slashing mode to it, yeah. But seeing that Okicore one there, it means that every single positive stat nowadays will have the positive effect it's saying, no matter how valuable or not that may be. But it also means that you can't roll a literally harmless negative. You can't roll minus slash on an Okicore anymore. Let alone plus slash, you can't roll minus slash. But you could, by my estimate here, roll minus puncture. Which will be very close to harmless, seeing as it's only 9.09% of the Okikore's damage. It could be that it could roll other physical types, so long as it has a physical. It could be a physical flag rather than a type-based flag. If I have Kuva left over after rolling the Verglas, we could come back to the Okicore 1, give it some rolls, and see if that happens. But yeah, that feels like a kind of wild discovery to me. And it's not something that we can easily replicate. Huh. Wait, so for an unrolled Okicore? Hold on. Where was it again? Where was it? There it is. CS chance crit damage plus slash. The plus slash is pointless on it. That's a wasted stat, it's making the other two weaker. Plus CS chance plus crit damage. Ooh, but, unrolled, it ain't good, it's just an Okicore ribbon. On the Okicore, which arcane would be preferred? Cascading Flare or Radiate? Good question. Secondary Irradiate. Let's check the numbers on that real quick. On hit enemy that's fully radiated. Deal the damage to enemies within 7 meters. Only direct hits spread. Additional shots from multi-shot will trigger spread hits, except from beam weapons. Sure, why not? Spread hits apply same status effects as those that proc them. Better from status damage. Cool. Requires line of sight. Okie dokie. Interesting. But you'll be running that instead of 480% pure damage, which is a lot to give up. Mirrorly, rolling puncture on Okicore is expected because Okicore has puncture. That's not the question. The question is, can we roll it and get plus or minus slash or impact on it these days? I have a Riven here that I am fairly certain I obtained before that patch note, which gave me a stat that has 0 effect on the Okicore. Not positive, not negative, 0. Yeah, as to the Okicore choice there, Flare or Radiate, that's a real tough call. Oh, you got impact on it. Okay, that's... confusing. That is very confusing. No need to try until you get Slash Mirror Blade. The fact you got impact on a weapon that doesn't have impact is enough for me to dismiss what I thought was happening here, and now leads me to further question how the f it all works. Genuinely, I am at a loss on this one. I guess so, Nightmare. It's just... it seems weird that to have such a distinction. Oh, hold on. Let's go back here. Okay, so... Rivens, challenges, attributes. Riven mods draw names from a pool, blah 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 blah. Prefix determined by that, blah blah blah. Attributes are as shown. Okay, yeah, so according to the wiki, weapons without the respective physical damage type will never have a Riven mod with this attribute. But that is clearly incorrect, because you just rolled impact, Mirrorly, on an Okicore Riven, and an Okicore doesn't have impact. So God knows who wrote that wiki line, but they're incorrect no matter what. It must just be a physical yes/no. Huh. The more you know. Okay then. Wow. Let's keep cycling. This game has depth to it that I'm sure even the devs look at in fear. At least think, just trying to connect the dots, could it be that old Rivens are affected by that change? I don't believe old Rivens should be able to roll stats that new Rivens can't. That would be very, very weird for the game system to be set up like that. Because it would mean then you'd have functionally Rivens of two different types for the same weapon. You'd have Okicore 2025 edition and Okicore 2026 edition. And that doesn't make sense. I can't see that being a remotely viable implementation for Riven mods. I'm also fairly certain that people are able to have a veiled Riven mod from before a weapon's release, unveil it after the weapon's release, and the unveiling reveals it to be the brand new weapon. Whereas if that Riven, with its challenge generated, was basically locked into its means of operation, it shouldn't then be able to roll the new weapon because that was after its time, so to speak. Thank you for Miralabe for triple confirming on that there. Still weird as hell to me. Okay. Yep, Rivens are weird. Rivens are just weird. And I refer back to my earlier point as to a Riven Infuser item would be very welcome. Because oh yeah, Gamba Gamba, this screen would still exist for people who wanted to go that way. But for those of us who just want to get the resource, get the item, move the hell on. I mean, Logren, you've assumed that, but as much as it seems correct what you're saying, just because you assumed it doesn't really add or take away anything. It's, yeah. I recall seeing stats that had no impact because they would be completely safe negatives. Just weird. Cheers, Mirrorlight. Okay, so we're nearly 100 rolls deep today, with no improvement on what I already had. Unfortunately, this is about as what I expected, but, you know, I'm still dumb enough to roll. Let's keep going for a Shufty. Quick reminder for those of you who forgot in the last 2 minutes, I'm looking for crit chance, damage, heat. Do I know what patch note mentioned this change? Yes, so it was in the Riven Mods patch history. I'll just scroll back down to that. Update 40.0, which is 15th of October 2025. Fixed issue where weapons could end up with Rivens that aren't compatible. For example, projectile flight speed on Vidaria Prime Rivens. They clearly made some change to the algorithm, but also, based on Miralabe's own test right now with the Okicore Riven, that doesn't mean avoiding a slash modifier, positive or negative, on a weapon with 0 slash. Which I would consider that equally incompatible. I would. So what did they actually do? Hell, for all we know, they could have tried to make the change and the change just didn't work. Rivens do be a wild thing. No. It's an interesting one, that one, but still no. Yeah, because fire rate, status chance cold, it's cute and all, but we don't have the crit chance. No crit chance? No bueno. I need crit chance, 100%. So, no. No crit chance, no good. Why is it plus damage to Infestor? That's no good to anyone. No, 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 no. Wasted stat. Crit chance and reload speed. No. I believe in it. Why was it not a mod for secondary where you get slash for impacts like 100 munitions? There is, but that should have no effect whatsoever because the Okiko also has no impact. It's a puncture weapon. So even if they were basing it off of that, which would also have no effect because slash damage modifiers have no effect on slash proc damage, even if that were the case, you also don't have the impact to trigger off hemorrhage anyway. So it just, there's no logical reason for slash to be on a ribbon for the Okiko. Other than they've treated all physicals as either present or not present. They've not cared for the types. Again, it's weird. No good, no good. Minus 174% damage is terrible. Moving on. Nope. Can't tempt me with that. No. Oh wow. Okay. More damage to humanoids and less damage to the infested. Sure, why not? 125 rolls in, and that's what I get. No. Also no. Good God. How big a DPS loss can minus status chance be? Well, if you get minus status chance, you're having to offset with the plus status you've got on your other mods, and for Verglas being a very status focused weapon, that's a horrible takeaway, especially as how it keys into what's it called, contagious bond, where you're spreading status effects. If you just got fewer of them, you're much less likely to get a lethal cascade, and that's one of the amazing setups with Verglas, is a Verglas contagious bond setup cascading into just wiping out wave upon wave of enemies. Mirrorlabe, I'm not answering that. You know the answer and you're flexing. So you don't get an answer. Let's keep going here. Electricity damage minus crit damage. That's just my current Riven but worse. I'm not taking that trade in the first place. No, 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 no. Come on. Just very basic damage heat. Ignoring the crits that I so crucially need. Oh, status duration item. Status duration negative is much worse. On most frames, they're not Lavos, and so your status duration is just going to be 100%. So if you have a minus status duration on a Riven like the Verglas, which has a pretty good disposition, you're looking at typically minus 90% status duration. And that is horrifyingly bad. If you apply a Toxin, Heat, or what's the other one that applies that way? Slash proc? Yeah, Toxin, Heat, or Slash proc, with minus 84% or worse on the status chance, yeah, minus 84%, you never deal damage. Because those status blocks, they last 6 seconds, they deal damage every second, at the end of a second. So if you take 6 seconds, multiply it by 1 minus 0.84 for 84% reduction, you get 0.96 seconds. So the proc would time out before it dealt damage. Only electric and gas would deal damage that way, because they would apply at the start of the proc. Would they still be applying the damage if the heat is being reapplied constantly? Probably yes, Nightmare. Probably. So you could still get the heat out that way. The moment the beam stops, tick, the whole thing drops. Congratulations. All of your built-up stacks, all of the potential spread, obliterated. It loses line of sight on the target for a second. Pew! There it all goes. Minus status duration is devastating on a Verglas Riven. Absolutely not worth taking. And on most status output things, it's largely just a bad idea in general. Yeah. Heat can maintain itself, everything else, it just shuts off. It's why rapid resilience is so powerful on Warframes. Because you do take those longer duration status effects and you just cut them down to the point they barely touch you in the first place. So yeah, minus status duration, terrible. On the flip side, plus status duration is mostly not that good. Because it's not about hitting the enemy as much as possible for as long as possible, except in a few niche circumstances, like setting up some serious long duration gas clouds, or if you're using... I forget the name of the helmet ability, the one that makes all status procs just collapse and happen at once. But most of the time, you don't need to get to the full 6 seconds against an enemy. They should probably be dead by then. So if you have minus 50% status duration, it's not great, but you can handle it. It leaves edge cases of those 3 to 6 seconds where you could have benefited but lost it. But more status duration is mostly a convenience thing. It's a weird stat. Only they did say that they weren't reducing the disposition on ribbons anymore, and they haven't done so for quite some time. So if they start to do so on the next update, following what I've done here with Verglas, angry words be had. I will join the chorus of people who are like, stop nerfing our fun! Because let's face it, ribbons aren't really fit for purpose anyway. The whole bringing up bad weapons to make them good thing didn't happen. Yeah. Ah. Crit chance and heat. But punch through I don't need on this. And minus magazine capacity is also a bad thing here. Plus no actual damage. So. No. No. Definitely not. Crit damage heat? No thank you. It needs to be crit chance. Because this ribbon, as I started with, still remains a very good ribbon. So I am literally rolling for a god roll here. Literally rolling for god. Oh boy. This feels like a podcast with more background gamba. Ah yes, we've got a caller on line 3. Hi, yes. We will not be taking calls. That is what you get. Multi-shot crit chance. Very classic ribbon right there. No negative, no crazy weird positive slaps on there. It's just straight up multi-shot crit chance. If you want an absolutely neutral ribbon, this is it. Moving on. Nope, I do not need to have a misfiring critical magnet. Nope, don't need quick reload heat that fails against shields. Logan, cheers. Piercing heat, it's currently winter, not correct. What even? Stage duration? None. No. Nope. Come on, come on. I would really liked this. Well, obviously I'd like this to work, but yeah, I mean, crit chance electric damage. Can we get crit chance heat damage, please? Minus 159% damage. Ah, yes. The tickle beam. The laser pointer. Nope. Still not good enough. Love that. Plus toxin, minus damage to corpus. Go figure. Left rage. I am looking for crit chance damage heat with a harmless negative. I am looking for a good roll. Because what I already have is a very good roll. I already have the needed crit chance, I already have a damage bonus, I already have an element bonus, and I already have a harmless negative. It is already very, very, very good. The only reason it's not good enough is because instead of electricity, I want heat. And heat would allow me to have better cascades on Contagious Bond. That is basically it. That is all that I need to make this go from a very good Riven to the best Riven I can have. If I roll crit chance, crit damage, and damage, I can go for that instead, and then I just take off a crit damage mod and put on a heat mod. The other options don't really work. That's about the only wiggle room I have. So this is no good. Multi-shot ones, I can't replace my multi-shot bot because Galvanized Chamber just does so much. 230% multi-shot is not replaceable. That's crit damage, that's just also not correct. Contagious Bond seems hard to use at high levels. I'm not so certain on that. Stabbers, have you seen my Verglas in action? If not, stick around, I can give you a demonstration later. Which companion is Verglas? For any of your Sentinels. You can also put it onto Boas, but it comes from Nautilus. Wrong. Good heavens, no. Having gone through 163 stats, we can be absolutely certain that positive and negative physical stats are just not rolling here. No zoom stats, things like that. Yes. Terrible. Moving on. I'm gonna burn up so much Kuva here. I've increased the rolls on this Riven more than tenfold today. Crit chance, status duration, fire rate, minus status chance. No, that is terrible. Punch through fire rate, no. Out of curiosity, am I using fire rate on the Verglas setup? Because if so, that does give me an alternative option to exit on. Yes, I am. Vile acceleration. Good. Okay. So these two can't leave. This is just a great benefit, status and extra damage. This is a great benefit, so I can't get rid of either of those. This is currently replacing Serration whilst giving me the other benefits I need. Actually, it's replacing Serration and Electricity. There's the double dose that I need there. So crit chance and then 2 mod coverage. This is why it's so tight to get. So if this rolls into crit chance fire rate instead of element or instead of damage, then I can swap out this and I can take it from there instead. If it ends up being crit chance fire rate element, I'm going to have to reformat this, but that'll be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine. Verglas without Contagious Bond does still get a fair amount of work done. Yeah, it's one target at a time, but... Hold on. So, let's take... Not you. Let's take the Contagious Bond off. There we are. And let's just make sure I am using an appropriate setup. Chamber and aptitude. There we go. Right. let me just show you what it's currently capable of.
The multitude of creatures
What I'll do is
you have
I'll
immortalized
bring in some
before
Grenier,
I
level
am
200,
yours.
wipe them out with the foam in, and then I'll bring them back and I'll let Verglas do its thing. Simple demonstration, and this is without Contagious. So we won the Grenier Battle Group. There we go. It's going to be firing with me anyway, but we'll just ignore that for the moment. Okay, there we go. So we got the damage stacks. We got the multi-shot stacks. Alright then. Do your thing. And this is with the electric build, so this isn't sapping armor. That's the other reason I want to go for heat. And you see, it is able to make its way through these enemies. Yeah, it's not absolutely busted room clear. But in terms of single target, one by one, and butchers just get obliterated. You add on the heat as well, and these heavier units would have their armor removed, they die even faster. And yes, galvanized stacks are shared between me and Sentinel, is my understanding. So if I just... hold on. Kill steal that. There we go. That's now a little bit faster. Yeah, you'd think so, Stabbers. You'd think so. But from testing a while back, that's not how it worked, no. So now let's spin this around. Back to the full setup. That full setup just adding one more mod. Also, I don't think I'm using Fired Up on this, am I? No, so I've got room to make this even more damaging. But I won't. Not right now. Corrosive heat is only good against the armored units, Cat Centaur. I'd be missing out on the viral, and the viral is a huge part of its general viability. A huge part of it. So you're not wrong specifically against armored units, but it just weakens it overall. Alright. That's now charged. Kill the enemies. Show them what you're good for. And yeah, there we go. Now imagine that with heat, it's going to be about as effective, if not more effective in general, just as a starting point, but also the cascade can keep going through multiple waves of enemies as just more of them die, more of them spread it even further and further back, as more spawn in. There. Is what I'm going to Sentinel for this, or would Death Cube be better? Honestly, use any Sentinel you damn well please at this point. Why would Death Cube be better? You don't use them for what they function with the gun. You use the Sentinel for what they bring in terms of their stats and what they bring in terms of their precepts. Worm has both negate, which is nice for just general status protection. It's actually a good survival aid. But also, with its shields being as good as they are, it goes straight into Reinforced Bond. And that's perfect. Miralabe, you are correct. Heat does take time to strip armor. So, over 2 seconds, it strips them down to 50%. But even after a single second, you then have benefits. So, for any enemy that has more than a little bit of hit points, you still get a buff. Heat stacks go high and get inherited damage as a result. Not as a result, they just... Heat inherit as its own thing. I'm not sure what you're using the phrase as a result to mean there, sorry, Stabbers. Heat inherit exists, though, yes. You can cascade more stacks of heat than electric? Yes, because it doesn't run out. That's not strictly a heat inherit thing, that is more just a case of heat self-refreshing, but it's a heat self-refreshing that leads to heat inherit being a thing. But yes, heat doesn't run out when you're able to apply more heat procs, and so it's able to cascade more effectively, because say, a single enemy that receives a small number of heat procs on it. It starts taking damage, but it doesn't die to it. Next round of heat procs come in. Rather than those first ones expiring during that time, they will now be fully refreshed, so if it then dies to that stack, it's got a larger volume of heat procs to send out. So you're just that little bit more likely to get a proper cascade going. So yeah. Are red Archon Shards crit chance additive added at the end? No, Archon Shards are modded values when it comes to crit chance, status chance, and the crit damage ones. So they're like you applied a crit chance mod of that amount. Nowhere near as powerful as you're hoping for there. Alright, let's keep going. No good. Yeah, overall, electric isn't a bad option here. It's just heat is better. It's why this is basically the last ribbon I will have for the Verglas, unless I get an ideal heat or fire rate or crit damage one instead of the electric. Cold or Toxin as a replacement stat, I wouldn't be too happy with, just because of how it'll affect the status distribution. I want more heat, less viral, but we'll see what happens. At the moment, I've not had any improvement over the Riven in 160 rolls near enough, so it is what it is on that. Come on. I think we can take this one. It's not perfect, but this is good. So I currently have Vile Acceleration, which is a minus 10, what is it, minus 15% damage, a rounding error, plus 90% on the fire rate. This is a little bit lower on the fire rate, but it's got all of the heat bonus, a higher critical chance bonus. The negative on Grineer is a big negative. If you're against Grineer. Everywhere else in the game, it's free. Against a Grineer, that's gonna sting. But of all of the options I could get, after 160 extra rolls near enough, I think it was 159 extra rolls, this is the first Riven that is actually better. So yeah. Stabbers saying Electric's been in a good spot since Melee Influence. It's insanely godly on Melee, sure, yeah. Melee Influence has no effect on everything else, so... And alright, Flo. Glad you did, it was neat. Do Grineer bosses count as Grineer? Yes. Yes, they do. So this would be weaker against Vor. This would be weaker against Sargus Rook, weaker against Kayla to Tame, weaker against the other ones. Alrega, the one on Earth, what's his name? Vayhek. Excuse me. But point is, I don't really use this against bosses, so not a loss there. Most of the game these days isn't Grineer, so this is overall just... This is just great. I will take off the fire rate mod. I will add on Serration as a damage mod. Because the fire rate mod was a minus 15% and Serration is plus 165, it's a net plus 180. Which against the 184.8% we're losing there, teeny tiny loss. The fire rate is a noticeable loss. We're going down from 190% to 166.2%. Sorry, correction, we have critical delay on. So we're going down from 170% to 146.2. So we're losing 14% of our fire rate. And a fractional part of our damage there. Crits do go up. I don't know if that's going to matter all that much in terms of amount of crit change. And a teeny tiny loss in the elemental damage. Honestly, not going to matter because it's still heat. Unlike Sarah's and Sedna survivals, this is going to be... Yeah, it's going to be weaker. Even with the heat removing armor, it's still going to be weaker there. There's a flow. Against the Grineer, this is going to struggle. Because you lose 40% the damage outright, and then you lose 40% again on the status proc. The only saving grace there is that when I buff it up, I usually buff it up using Raw, which kind of fixes that, but this is also kind of eating into that Raw. It's a rough one. But honestly, with the amount of rolls to get there, this is still, I'd say, better than keeping the electric. As much as Raw does kind of fix it, this is still eating into the Raw effect. I think I run a, what, 83% Raw on Lavos? I think it's 83. So instead of having 1.83 squared, which would be 335% damage for statuses against a Grineer, I would be having 143% squared, so I'd be having 204%. So I'd be losing just over a third of my status damage there. That sucks. That does suck, and if I'm using this in a Grineer situation without Raw, it's even worse. I'll be losing 2/3 my damage output. Sorry, status damage output there. But yeah, so long as I use Raw, or if I'm against non-Grineer, win. And it has the heat. So again, over this one, we're also removing the armor on the enemies, which means they will still die quicker. It balances itself out a bit there. As far as I can get on a Verglas Riven, with my remaining Kuva and my desire to keep rolling, this is basically as good as I'm going to get. I'm taking it. 175 rolls in. Mirror asking, hypothetically, would I trade my Riven for a lots of crit, lots of heat, minus infested? No, I wouldn't Mirror Lab. And the simple reason being, it's only got 2 positive stats there, so it doesn't fill out the mod slots fully. Because on this, I can now take off the fire rate. I need to do some shuftying. I do need to pull this again. No, wait, I can move that there. There we go. I can take off the fire rate and add on Serration. If I were to go for your Riven, I would lose the fire rate, but I don't gain a slot to fix that. Yeah. I guess unless you're trying to prove a point, usually buy a second Riven before 175 rolls. Gaz, the choice you saw me just make to switch to this Riven, I had that set of first stats on 16 rolls. I just didn't want to engage with the Riven market. That's all. What does fire rate do for companion weapons? Queen, I want you to think about your question. Think about it. You could almost read your question backwards. Almost. And get the answer. So if I were to take this setup as is, with the raw bonus that I can hand over to it, let's take that off. Let's just go. What have I even got here a minute? Don't think it matters. Let's go with Consequence. Consequence is always fun. Right, yeah, let's go with that. Okie dokie. It's not about saving the Kuva, Kylo. It's about having 2 good Rivens. Because, take the Riven I had previously, I could have sold it for more than it would cost to buy an unrolled or shit roll Riven. I had a good one. So I could have sold that, bought a new Verglas Riven for cheaper, and then rolled that one, and it would have been exactly the same results. Queen said, never seen the need for a fire rate. I mean, you've never seen it, but it gives you increased fire rate. So you're hitting faster, you're applying damage faster, you're applying status effects faster. It's literally fire rate. Just because it's on a companion doesn't change the fact that it is fire rate. Without explaining the fundamentals of why fire rate is good, in which case, do we need to go that far back? I feel like that would be an insult to your intellect here, Queen. I feel like the question begs itself otherwise. Alright. Let's pop myself into here. I could do the Omnifisher. Why not? Honestly, yeah. Let's just throw in a relic as well. I don't care if it's a valuable one or not. I'm just gonna have a relic alongside this. Don't even care about the rest of my loadout. Yeah. Your companion already nukes harder than you? Yeah, and what if it nukes harder? Accept so blinding.
And you may yet avoid it. Trust in your training.
Oh, they didn't even have time to summon the dogs. I just got 2 kill stacks. Alright, companion's not going to fire for a moment because I'm invisible.
Stand by for life support.
Mildly unfortunate. I'll just form in for a moment. Right, we're visible now. Let's see how well this works. Let's hit a cascade. Oh, they keep doing the invulnerability dance. Okay. Little bit of a cascade. Not great, not great. There we go. It's starting to get away from me. Ah, damn, they're all out of range. Did they take away life rewind privileges? I heard something about that. Anyone else here on PC able to rewind the stream if they would choose to? Should be a subscriber perk. Oh, it's working for Flashpoint, working for Kylo. Weird. Okay. Could be a regional thing, could just be A/B testing, could just be brokey because which can't even launch a sponsorship campaign correctly. I have a bone to pick with them on that one. Alright, this should be a nice chunk of killage. There we go. Follow around the corner. Oh, don't go invulnerable. That slows it down. Xmas are a little bit more resilient, because Viral doesn't enhance the damage to Overguard, but then all the heat just keeps on stacking up and up and up, and then they all die. It's great.
The relic has been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's
So I'm on more than 100 kills per minute here. More than 100 kills per minute, and I'm basically walking around. I should probably get some more stacks on my gun, actually. Because they make my companion stronger. There we go. And this is without fired up, correct. So I could make this even stronger by applying fired up again to the build. I just need to find what I'm taking out for that. And the cascade continues. Not even sure what kind of status proc hits I'm getting at the moment. I saw 300k. 200k. Some chunks. Make sure we keep that going. That was over 1 million of a status damage tick there. So again, for those of you wondering as to is a companion worth investing into for damage, I would like to say yes. Yes, it is. I'm maintaining life support. I'm getting the appropriate kills. Enemies are just kind of piling on in. Now this Guardian Xmas is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. Luckily we can shoot over the top. And then go back to cascading. Ooh, increased strength and casting speed. 113% raw. Okay, that'll do a little work. You rolled crit chance, crit damage, fire rate, minus infested. Oh, that's a beautiful one. Low grid. You just got a better Riven than me. You bastard. You absolute bastard. Oh. I'm happy for you. Because, yeah, minus damage to infesting. Who cares? The infested fall over if you sneeze on them. Grenier take a little bit more work. So, my negative there is a little bit more tangible. That's fine. I feel like if I'm doing all this chatter about companion effects, I really do need to double check, make sure the information is up to date on this, don't I? I hate testing galvanized setups. Also, yeah, Verglas is not good at taking down these guys because it's a status-based weapon. These guys do not suffer status. Acolytes are resistant to Verglas. Oh, that's a nice spread. We're spreading puncture. Huh. It's just been left over from the raw. Your companion review? Ah, no change, no change. It's just Verglas go burr. Verglas go burr. So you use the Foreman, what are some good stats to Riven for it? Honestly, the Foreman doesn't really need a Riven because the disposition isn't really in favor of making it anything special. But, oh god, I took a lot of damage there.
Extraction is ready.
Give my gun back. Uh-oh. Okay, that's bad. But what I have on mine is crit chance, crit damage. I think it has damage to Grenier, which is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, the usual stats. Crit chance, crit damage. Fire rate can work out. That kind of thing.
Void signatures, but outside the
Why can't Arcane Hotshot work together with Lavos and his status buffing augment? I would need to have a look as to what you're trying to do to really understand that. Let me grab my gun and get out of here. I've done enough of a demonstration on this. Was damage attenuation changed recently? I mean, it was, but that doesn't remove the status cap. Acolytes have a 4 status per type cap, so if you're trying to do damage via status effects, it fails.
If you have a necromech, you may use it.
They fought well. Good dance.
Okay.
On.
Yeah. Have enough of that. Alright. So, easier one first. From your species here, why can't Arcane Hotshot work with Venice Formation? That... over here? No, that's going to be a... is that this? Hotshot. Oh, this one! Right, right, right. Yeah, your ability isn't inflicting the heat status effect. Your weapon is. That's why. I was wondering what wasn't working with Lavos there. No, it just doesn't work in general, the way you were thinking. You can apply it via things like Mace's Peacemakers, because despite them being a weapon, they're an ability weapon. So they're dealing ability and weapon damage at the same time. It's both. But when you use Valence Formation to buff up your weapons, they're still just weapons. Because now technically the ability that gives you heat doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You're appealing to DE at that point. Not to me, not to the game. You're asking DE, oh, could you please do this? Doesn't matter. Go ahead, get on a plane, fly to Canada, knock on their front door and be like, please! Because that's just not how it works. Ability buffs that enhance your guns aren't ability damage. Your gun has received a buff, it's still the gun. So yeah. If you want to get that, the way to do it is, hey, you're playing Lavos. Press 4. Heat now everywhere. Not like you're missing out, really. You don't know what Writer's Reign means? It's a common enough saying. It basically means you'll be good. Things will work. Is this allowed? You can fly to Canada and knock on the front door if you have a complaint. You may be able to do so. I don't believe they'll let you in, let alone actually field your complaint, but you could attempt it. This is not official advice, for the love of God, just stick to the normal channels. Whilst I could say to most people, facetiously fly to Canada, you, Miralabe, you scare me. So to be very clear, just stick to the suggestions forum. Stick to sending Pablo a tweet on Twitter every now and then. Apparently he uses Twitter more than Blue Sky, so that's where he is. It could still work. I mean, yo, it's busy. What could still work? You asked about a thing. I told you it doesn't work. I gave you an alternative. What's your question? Just so I properly understand here. So I properly understand what you don't understand. Hotshot by playing Keep with the 4. Yeah, because that's an ability. Yes. Arcane Hotshot. Do you apply heat status on enemies using abilities? This is an ability that applies heat status on enemies. So is this one and this one if you infuse it via Lavos' passive ability, because that's an ability. Ability dealing damage, ability dealing damage, ability dealing damage. If you put heat into them, you're applying heat proc. Amazing. Lavos loves it. I'm not pointing at Raw here because Raw is a subsumed ability and doesn't get such benefits. Okie dokie. Yeah, Sabbers, ability weapons do seem rather strange, and once you understand how the game's asking its questions, you see why it works. So, in terms of the bits you called out there, they count for ability kills because you're killing with an ability. It's an ability weapon, which means you're killing with an ability. They count for weapon challenges because they ask, are you killing with a weapon? You go, I've got an ability weapon. They go, yep, that's a weapon. Good. They can hurt nullifiers because nullifiers are hurt by weapons. And it's asking, is that a weapon? Yes, it is. Hurts the bubble. Doesn't hurt RB drones because RB drones go, I cannot be hurt by abilities. And so you go, well, this is an ability weapon. The drone goes, yeah, so you can't hurt me with that. It's an ability. That's the way it shakes out. It's the kind of question that's being asked that determines how the answer actually applies. When you see that logic in action, when you see the code behind the game, you understand how these bits come together. Like multicolor stuff in MTG? Yeah. Anyone who's played Magic the Gathering probably gets this far easier than anyone who's only ever played Minecraft. At least one ability can damage arbitration drones, and that is the C in DE. Miralabe, people are trying to learn here. Don't confuse them. Just don't. Just don't. Alright, so, Verglas, doing good. I think the last thing was fired up, and where would fired up go into this if I were to put it into here at all? Let's see, because I value that. And that. This is a more optional one, but I do still value it. But I think if I was going to swap anything, it would be that. The crit support build I can just stop having existing because, let's see, what was it? Yeah, it was basically just an alternative tenacious bond and not attacking. But no, I can do away with that now. So let's rename those two. We're gonna have synth fired up. Cool. Copy this one over that. Done. There we are. The duration of Venus formation scales with range, right? No. No. Does it show the stats on here? No, it doesn't actually show on any of these. That's unusual. Yeah. No, it's a duration. Does the duration scale with duration? Yes. So Logrin there should stop. Logrin. Logrin. Logrin.
You are a true hunter.
Not even...
Where would the sanctuary be?
Neither part. You put 2 words in your reply, and both parts were wrong. Two words! Have a look at my buff bar right now. I'm going to apply Valence Formation. See? 30 odd seconds. But wait! The mod card! It says 20 seconds! 158% duration. Yep. Yeah, you happen to have 30-ish. You won't have 30 most likely because you don't have 150% duration. You'll have 30-ish. And you've probably seen it at that 30 point a second or so after casting each time. Queen, you ain't confused, you just forgot. Like if I go with Evade here with this 308% duration, we'll just go, well, bam, and thank you, ma'am. That's over 1 minute of Valence Formation. Nice try, y'all. Nice try. Also, yes, that is an Evade Lavos. It does work. It's weird that it works, but it works. Base 30-second duration when it has an internal cooldown of 60. You get 6 seconds back on weak point kill, but not only that, you can just reduce the cooldown with Transmutation Probe. Surprisingly effective. Yeah, over here the raw base duration of 30 goes up to 47. Base duration on this 20 goes up to about 30-ish. So this always runs out before raw runs out. No matter what, they're just out of sync. It's a thing I have to deal with. But it's fine. Okay, right. That is Verglas attended to. That is questions about Lavos attended to. Logrin has decided to send themselves to Shadow Realm. Fair enough then. Get yeeted. It's alright, we encounter these bits and pieces. It's still better than, and let me just find this here 1 second. Just a moment, there we go. Still better than, and I quote, rare fail video from Kengineer. If you're going to make a comment on YouTube, maybe don't start with that, and then follow up the rest of the comment explaining your thought process as to how you're wrong. You're gonna be negative, just stop the negative. Actually, don't post a negative, ideally, but if you're gonna be negative, don't at least give me the ammunition to understand how wrong you are about it. There are much worse than misunderstanding a load of Valence Formation. Who said that? On what video? We don't need to call them out any further. That alone is sufficient. Suffice to say, I did respond to them, and I think their response... Let's see here. Yeah, the response was they were going from personal experience, and they further add they might have been misplaying. Wow, yes. Failed video from me. They didn't understand the numbers, and they might have just been using the build wrong. Love it! Love it! Oh dear. This is the pain of actually reading the comments so that I can respond to the majority of people who are worth responding to or have comments that need responses to. As I then come across bits like that. It's like, why did you feel the need to type today? Could have just not. Right, on to Kestrel. Let's update the stream title because then people coming in will know what's happening. Code roll. Achieved! Now, Kestrel. There we go. Stream title update here. Okay, so I've been fiddling with this weapon some more, and part of the problem with the fiddling with it is that I find myself comparing it to the Zorus too much. You're so confused to learn this weapon's not a bow? Yeah. That is in fact not a bow. I can see the confusion. If you didn't know what the Kestrel was, and you just look at that image, I can honestly fully understand. Yeah. I can completely see the confusion there. But no, it's not a bow. It is, however, still a ranged weapon in the melee slot. So, I mean, it's not a bow, but point is that I find myself comparing it to the Zorus. And the Zorus as a glaive is just incredible. But I find myself, so far, the way that I've compared it is I've compared it to the Zorus using what the Zorus is good at, and that is melee influence. Unfortunately, melee influence kind of go burr, doesn't it? There's no getting away from it. There's no changing the nature of the game at this point without D stepping in and doing it themselves. It's just fucking good. It's not even just good. Expletive is necessary on how damn effective melee influence is. Is Zorus better than Glaive at this point? So Glaive Prime, base Glaive is always bad. Glaive Prime has lost some of its value because Slash effectively got nerfed twice. And Zorus covers a larger area. And Zorus uses a more damaging status proc, electric, and melee influence is a thing. I wish for you to observe. Let's go Zorus here. We're gonna go Zorus without influence, and we're gonna go through 2 rounds of enemies. Okay? My companion's not going to be attacking. No boss from Lavos. We're just gonna do Zorus things. And I say 2 rounds of enemies because we've got initial stacks to gain, and then the second group. So there we go. First group. Also, notice the visual effect it has on the room. The amount of blue it does. You get a really blue experience with the Zorus. But there we go. So you see, I mean, it's not bad at all. Not in the slightest. It is an effective weapon. So now let's influence it. Look at me, ma, I'm an influencer. Anyway, let's go ahead and influence it. So once again, first round is usually weaker because we need to stack up. Bam. There we go. Oopsies, a little bit too overzealous there. Second round. Do you notice the difference? Do you notice the difference? Yeah. How did the Riven perform? Very well, Ellie. Did you see the final stats on it? Suffice to say, juicy. But yeah, so Zorus, stonkers. It is just stonkers, and it gets even more stonkers with melee influence. It's just bonkers. And there you are, Ellie. Heat, fire rate, crit chance, minus damage of Grenadier, bit of a sad one, but it's not the worst negative to have. and it meant that I could bring Inspiration, take out Vile Acceleration. Job's a good one. For non-Grineer missions, this is just God tier. Literal God roll. Alright, so... the problem with this is... what do? What do with Kestrel that is somehow better? Because I've fiddled with various bits, I've messed with the Afflictions because it loves throwing enemies around, I've messed with Duplicate for some duplicate-based thing, but the simple, sorry, sordid truth is if I put on Shocking Touch, I put on Melee goddamn Influence, that's just more effective than damn near anything else I could do with it. This, I believe, is a thrown combo setup. Can it still bounce a Volatile? Yes. Because it's got 8 bounces, this takes off only 4 of them. So allow me to demonstrate. We're going to get a hold of the combo. Just combo purposes. Am I set to Naramon? Oh, sugar. Yeah, I demonstrated the weapon, need to take it off again. Oops. Yep, I am on Naramon. Okay, let's get some fresh enemies that haven't just been abused. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you very much. That's got me my combo. And Chucky. Yup. Dare say that got a little bit of work done. That got a little bit of work done. Now, let's do the exact same build, but we're going to take away Melee Influence. We're going to give it something good instead. Melee Duplicate, maybe that'll do some work for us. Actually, with the chance this gets, maybe not. Melee... Wesley. Let's go Melee Exposure, and I'm just going to cast a few abilities without Valence Formation. Valence Formation is cheating. And we're going to go for Molten Impact, so instead of Electricity we've now got Heat. Heat is a good element. You know, I just spent half this stream removing Electricity and adding Heat to my companion. So we know for a fact that Heat is got to be good, right? So let's go over here. Let's go bibbidi babbidi boop. You get the shoot. I just cast to re-up the exposure and throw. Same as before. So it's... I mean, it's hitting. It's killing, even. It is doing stuff. It's just... Oops, I missed. It's just worse. Despite me giving it a 240% elemental bonus, despite Heat being Heat, despite Lavos' status duration doing Lavos' status duration things, despite the explosions on 4 bounces, it's just worse. Does heavy attack wind up speed determine bounce speed? No, projectile speed is projectile speed. The heavy attack wind up is from holding it back to launch. So it's the charge up time to the throw, which incidentally is not itself a heavy attack, but that's where it has the effect. Because heavy attack is instant, it's when you choose to detonate. Go figure. Yeah, so I can fiddle with exposure, I can fiddle with other bits and pieces, but the end result I keep going back to is influence just kind of go crazy. It doesn't matter how you build, if you build for electric statuses with enough damage behind them, so hybrid build with electricity, with influence, you win. And if you're going to do electric influence, just use the goddamn Zoris. Zoris has a much larger AoE than the Kestrel. Much larger. The Zoris has guaranteed electric status on its heavy attack. Kestrel has no guaranteed status on its heavy attack. It's just missing. which means you need to get, I think, like a 400% status chance bonus for the Kestrel to have equal status output to the Zoris. And a lot of that status output is going to be not electric because of its innate blast. So you can get there, but it's just not as good. Kestrel has 8 innate bounces. Okay, cool. So you can use Volatile Quick Return, lose 4 of those bounces, but have it explode with increased radius. It goes from the base, I think, 4 meter range. It says 3.6, but on the fully charged Stroke Points wiki it's actually 4. So it goes from 4 to 7. But if you were to use the Zoris, which has a base radius of 9, you could just use Volatile Rebound. You don't get the extra radius, but you also don't lose bounces. So instead of 4 bounces with a radius of 7, you can have 4 bounces with a radius of 9. The Kestrel's Heavy is not a guaranteed impact proc. Nope. No, they are not. I can attempt to demonstrate this for you. Let me take off that. We've just got Blast Influence, so nothing will happen there. Let's just grab a single enemy. 2 Bombards. 2 is good enough. Have a look at these 2. No status procs, yada yada yada. Do the explosion. No status procs. No guaranteed proc on heavy attack. How it is? Nope. He had a blast. He had an impact. That's it. Impact, I think, was from the direct hit reaching it. If I just... oh, god damn it. Throw it to the side. I can get a blast from pure status chance. Missed. Come on. Roll it. Fucking Christ. Didn't get another blast. Somehow got an impact out of that one. I'll stop being like this. There we go. No status effect whatsoever. You can see. No guarantee. While it does knock down, I think that is just part of what the Kestrel does. So, like, even just throwing it, if I don't explode it, I just lob it. Watch. Bonk, bonk, bonk. The Kestrel loves going bonk. Whee! Bonk and boom. The problem is making bonk and boom worth it. The Kestrel does more damage than the Zoris per target, but it does a lower status on account of the heavy attacks because of no force proc. It is worse for using melee influence. It can use melee influence, it's just worse at it. Worse coverage, so in multi-enemy situations it's just worse. And if you're not in a multi-enemy situation, if you're using just a single target, are you using a glaive? Glaives want to bounce between targets or explode groups of targets. Single target damage is not what glaives are good for. So the Kestrel being better at single target is not a benefit. Straight up. So this is a limited combo. I don't feel that the unlimited combo really matters, because sure, yeah, you could get yourself in a situation where you get the combo on the Kestrel and then stop attacking long enough to run out of combo. And you can fix it in ways that you don't have to with the Zoris. Like, you don't need to use Naramon with the Zoris. You don't need to use combo duration modding and whatnot. You can go for bits that would hurt your combo even. But the Zoris really excels at a heavy attack build because of that force proc. A thrown bounce build is just worse. From all usage I've done with it, it just seems worse. Sangarex saying, have the blast procs added into melee influence really doesn't affect overall damage, because just having the electric on is always enough to kill anything at the level cap, doesn't it? That's a long thought. Let me break that down. So, the blast procs that Kestrel does, it's innate 100% damage. are taking away from your electric procs. Zorus doesn't care if you have stuff taking away, because you just have the electric anyway as a forced proc, but you want to mod electric to just make them stronger. Whereas on the Kestrel, you are just missing out on a whole chunk of status that could have been electric, instead it is blast. Blast, if it's on an enemy that dies, or if you get to 10 procs, will release a more powerful blast of damage. It's blast, But if you don't reach that, it is just kind of there. It just goes zzz, pop, and does 30%. It's pathetic. And you can't mod to improve that with elemental mods, whereas electric you can. Pair of 90s? There's no such thing. A pair of 90% elemental mods to go blast. So 90% heat, 90% cold, 180% elemental damage, and the blast proc is still just baseline. Whereas a 90% electric mod, one mod, improves the electric proc damage by 90%. So various factors together just work against it. They just do. Cat Central saying got okay usage of melee duplicate heat build. Melee duplicate heat. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I went into that using a... what is this one? Yeah, I think this is... yeah, this is a heavy attack setup, isn't it? So I've not got... what's it called? Blood Rush on here. I've got the Weeping Wounds because I'm going to get enough of the effects there, but I'm trying to stay within the duplicate range. Yeah. No, don't worry, Katsuto. I hadn't really showcased this one. I'd click through the setups I'd fiddled around with, but it's ironic you talk about a build that is straight up there for me. Yeah. That's okay, Mirrorlade. That's an okay one. I'm lying. That's a good one. I wouldn't prefer Toxin, but it still works. That's a good one you got there. Yeah, this one, so... yeah, the base crit chance, Kestrel, 22%. That's right, yeah. So on heavy attack, this is going to have a 220% bonus from this. I think that's all the crit chance it's getting. So that actually only brings it up to... 70.4. Okay. We've been better than 60-60 on heavy attack build. I'm not entirely certain, but with this we do get to 4 stacks on Weeping Wounds, so this will be 160%. Whereas a 60-60 mod would be 60%. So 160. So you'd be gaining element, but you'd be losing status. That is the trade-off there. And the question is then, okay, what element do you want to throw in? We can double down on the heat. Go 60-60 heat alongside the 90 heat. If we went into gas, we'd be losing damage. If we went into blast, we'd be losing damage. If we went into radiation, we'd be losing all of our damage. Why the fuck would you do that? So it would have to be 60-60 heat to compare. Let's think then. Any other status bonuses? Yes. Here. That's at 120%. Let's think about this. We could have 1 plus 1.2 plus 1.6. So that would be 3.8 times base status being applied. And base is 40%, so times 40. 152% status, of which 0.9 over 1.9 is heat. Times 0.9 divided by 1.9. 72% average heat output with a 1.9 damage multiplier on it. It's 136.8. That is our ratio to work with. And let's store that. There we go. Now, what about that alternative? Volcanic Edge instead. So now we have 1 plus 1.2 plus 0.6, 2.8 times on our status. So it's 112 status. Now it's 150 over 2.5 for that. That's 1.5, oops. Divide by 2.5. 67.2% heat, so that has come down, but we're not finished. It's now got a 2.5 multiplier on it. (136 to 168). In terms of heat proc output, this is higher. In terms of blast output, it is lower. Factoring the blast will be a little bit more difficult, but we go from, let's see, we go from roughly 80% blast to roughly 50% blast, somewhere in that ballpark. They're very similar. Not sure which way I'd say is best there, honestly. Very similar in the end. Maybe go for that one simply because the direct damage is higher as well. Maybe. How'd the Riven turn out? Good. We got heat, fire rate, crit chance, more than I had before, minus to Grenier. It's a little bit sad, but not the worst. Yeah, any other sources of combo, if you take this beyond the heavy attacks, then yeah, Weeping Wounds will probably be better again. But this build doesn't expect to have that happen. But yeah, I'm looking at the crit chance. I'm not getting it particularly high here. Means melee duplicates are only going to be triggering about 2/3 of the time, and the other third of the time we're below crit anyway. That's a bit. A lower crit chance is not nice. A Riven would help, but then we're just getting silly. You could technically use Sacrificial Steel instead of Galvanized Steel, but you lose out on critical damage in the process, and I really don't know how that works out. We could try and force Blood Rush into here somewhere, but that also gets a little bit scary, because what do you take out for that? Not to mention that'd only be 160% at best anyway. Gladiator Bite could replace Organ Chatter, but that'd only give us 40% on the 22%, so that's basically nothing. Cat Central saying one thing is light throws take a long time to build 12 times combo. Router! I said this same thing myself on the previous stream I looked at Kestrel, and someone was very right to point out, you just do that. Alright, you're good now. 12 times combo, just don't lose it. You're good now. And you see those statuses are slamming into them. It's alright, Centaur. It didn't immediately occur to me neither. It was pointed out to me, so you can feel fine on that one. You get a pass. Yeah, in terms of telling out the application, Melee Duplicate, it feels like I should like it, because, you know, it's multi-shot on a melee. Wow. Novel thing. But the whole base critical hit requirement on it just kind of stumps it. And then visually, I don't feel like I notice it happening. Obviously it's there, obviously more hits happen. It just doesn't feel present. That sucks. You can forego the crit chance on this. Keep the crit damage. You can forego the any attempt at building crit chance, and instead use Wrathful Advance, Raffle Advance means that Melee Duplicate is basically right out and you want to go for something else instead. Question is, what the f do you even go for? Melee Afflictions, probably your next best option there. Which I think I was doing with these other builds, actually. And yeah, you can see then I focus on... Oh yeah, because this was a heavy attack setup, of course. Put that back to what it was. What was it? It was... Duplicate. Yeah. So if we go for a bounce-based build, this is using the crit damage, lot of crit chance, more crit damage, more status damage, because we want afflictions to actually pop off. Lots and lots of status chance. I've got Whirlwind on here, and then I've gone for gas, of all things. Gas. That might seem a little bit silly. Like, what's the point of gas? And I might be inclined to agree, but let's just build our combo and hit something and see what happens. Babbity bibbity boop. There goes your snoot. And then we go lock. And then we go lock. I really don't like it when it decides to just bounce on an enemy like once or twice and then just swannies the fuck off. Like, what's the point of all of these bounces if it spends half the bounces being useless? Like, what was that? There are clear enemies here. Please attack these enemies. This is my #1 issue with glaives. If we try to use them for a throne build, they act like absolute dirts. Mirror Ape. Sure. Roll away. Now this is only using direct hits, and it's letting the gas speed its AoE effect. I think they screwed up Kestrel targeting. Honestly, not sure if it's Kestrel or if it's just glaives at this point. But throwing feels like I'm throwing the attempt. I could swap out the projectile speed here for Volatile. Volatile Rebound I don't think I can fit with this current mod capacity, which is unfortunate. We can do Volatile Quick Return. Who needs 8 bounces anyway? Let's get the AoE on it. Once again, let's rebuild the combo. Bop, 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 bop. So effective. And put it in there. And now, look at that gas! That is gas everywhere. And like at this point, you know, we're hitting level 200 bombards. It's getting work done. So I can't be upset with it, right? You know, it's getting work. The fact that it's throwing them off out the places. Does infinite combo? I mean, no, that's the Zorus, unless you're responding to someone. This doesn't have an infinite combo. The combo is just staying up because I'm hitting shit. Yeah, the fact that it throws enemies aside isn't really killing them. And yeah, I can come back to this heavy attack build, and I can just kind of go, you know where we're going. Let's do the first round. There would be weaker enemies normally to get your initial stacks on. Okay, there's our initial stacks. That's what it'd be more like in combat. You have weak enemies to charge on, effectively. So, it would be a little bit more like... here, douche. Tell me, why the hell should I even care about a bounce build? It's not even in the same league. I can try heat, I can try gas, I can try valence formation if I damn well please. And then there's melee influence on an AoE weapon. Whether you do heavy attack or if you do bounce, you get the same result. I've been trying. I've been genuinely trying to not get the same result. Let's go for the bounce setup. This one, we build us combo up with the router, just like we did with the gas bounce. And then we just kind of go... like so. It's just melee influence. You see my general despair at this. You see my questions as to what am I supposed to be doing here? Also, where did that even go? There we are. Obviously, it doesn't work as well if the glaive decides to go on a trip to Narnia. How do I justify to all y'all and everyone else who watches my guides over on YouTube, how do I justify anything other than melee influence? And if I'm going to suggest melee influence on Kestrel Prime, why don't I just tell you to skip getting another Prime weapon and go straight back to the Zorus you've already invested in because you've had it for years at this point? You get it free from a quest, it's just better. Is this the combo build? No, that's something else entirely. Hold on. I don't think I even put a throw build on it, did I? Is this one? Yeah. Green cap that. Let's just do the same on here. The volatile quick return somewhere. It is using Blood Rush. It is using Amalgam, Organ Shatter, Galvanize, Elementalist, Galvanize Steel. It is using Shocking Touch. This point it's easy to search. Weeping Wounds and Voltaic Strike with influence. Build our combo. And this is a explode, don't bounce build. So we're getting fewer hits in. Also need to get the initial stacks. So now let's see what it's like when we've had a few kills, because galvanized. Needed to re-initialize influence. Not as impressive. So yeah, on that one, that is using the reduced bounces. So let's go for the other volatile. It doesn't reduce the bounces. Oh look, all the enemies still died. Bing bang bom bam bom bom bom. And yeah. Having got our initial kills, having got our galvanites online, I go lob. And everything dies. And it's still slower than the heavy attack build, which is why I then just use the heavy attack build. Why wait for bounces when I can just blow them up and move on to the next spot? So yeah. From LEU, as an individual player I can tell myself I'll restrict my influence usage on your weapons that are uniquely suited, but as a creator can't do that without getting hate disappointment. Yeah. I can't just say, oh yeah, this is better, but don't do it. What kind of an answer is that? Ellie said, also, I think there's enough people who also don't like influence, so if you do any build video, you reasonably cater to both camps. Those who want most clear, and those who want something a little more original, even if less clear. But that's the thing. As I've just showcased the rest of it, is what is What is the original here? The Kestrel yeets enemies. Okay, cool. That's fun. Yep, let's throw enemies. Melee Affliction. When enemies are knocked down or flung by melee attacks, gain additional stacks. Great! On the weapon that has 40% status chance, that's pretty damn nice. You can easily build off of that. Weeping Wounds goes 40%. Hold on, I can do math on that. What is the number? 40 times 1 plus 4.4 plus whatever we get from Elementalist, 1.2. 264% status chance. Sounds bonkers. But Throne Glaives suck. They're just worse. They take longer to get to what they're trying to do. They have lower damage bonuses because, first of all, the heavy attack explosion deals double the damage by and large compared to the throw itself. Second, the heavy attack has the heavy attack benefit of your combo meter, so that's up to 12 times more damage again. Third, heavy attacks don't have damage fall off over distance. So when you factor all of that in, the throne attack is designed to just be worse. Right? I can do my best with it. I can lean into melee afflictions. I can try and build into Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds and give you the crits and give you the status. But at the end of the day, it's just less damage applied more slowly. That is the exact opposite of what a build guide should do, and that is the stick I find myself being hit with here. I can offer different builds till I'm blue in the face. I can offer you a decoy Lavos. But why would you use a decoy Lavos when you could just not? It would be better. A weapon, at the end of the day, is supposed to kill and supposed to feel good doing it. And I cannot, with any honesty, say, oh, yes, I really enjoy throwing the weapon and waiting for it to decide what it wants to do. Let me just chuck it over here now. And okay, we're going off over that way. Alright, what if I do that again? Bad example, it did the exact same thing. Huh, so there is some determination to it. Alright, but if I throw it here... Yeah, and if I throw it here... Now we're getting quite a different bit, but once you get enemies involved, it does change. And when they're really clustered like that, usually it will hit a whole bunch of them. And you get good results. As soon as you start to get gaps, that's when we hear it hitting the walls. Once the enemies are no longer holding hands, singing Kumbaya. Wall hit, wall hit. What is the point of extra bounces when only half the time it's going to hit? That time it hit them with every single bit. That's nice. Wall, wall, wall. Enemy, because I threw it there. Enemy, enemy, wall, wall, wall. Ah! Yeah. Why would I let the Kestrel keep all 8 of its bounces when doing so costs half the radius near enough? A 4-meter radius on explosion is terrible when it also has damage fall off. Why keep the 8 bounces at that point? They are. They say a couple hidden questions. Have you tried Whirlwind Flight Speed, and have you... is it a good case of gas? We've been over both of those already on here, yeah. Pyra, thanks for the raid. Welcome on in. Hope you've had yourself a wonderful stream. I am just complaining about the Kestrel Prime at the moment, and Glaives in general. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in, everyone. It's alright, Elliot. It's perfectly welcome to ask. It's just, yeah. Whirlwind, it makes it travel faster, but you're still throwing the glaive to bounce around and half the time for it to just decide, it's going off over there now, it's going over here, it's going down there. It's not going where the enemies are, it's going where the glaive is. And as for gas, there are two issues with that as well. Firstly, gas is just not a strong status type, so you're not going to get great results in the first place. Second of all, even for if it can hit a choke point and you think, okay, yeah, we're going to really invest into gas, we're going to make this area full of gas, it's still slow, and every time it hits an enemy, it wants to knock them down or send them flying. If you hit an enemy with it, they're halfway to death, they go flying off into the corner, and then they die over there with a gas proc, they're dead in the corner. They're just a steaming corpse now. They're not creating the choke point. So unfortunately, the unique nature of the Kestrel actually just ends up making it worse by sending the enemies somewhere other than where you tried to kill them. If you want to scatter enemies, cool, but they're just going to get back up again and come and kill you, or you just killed them, in which case who cares that you scattered them? Like, there's not really a niche I can work with there. It's just, haha, the boomerang that looks kind of like a bow in its PNG threw the bombard into a corner. It's really tough for me to find a reason to like it. The problem. That is the problem. I look at it. Welcome on in. Cedar alt fire works like a thrown glaive? Yes. And you'll see it has that homing on it. Cedo tends to do a good job of it, but then also it can just kind of bounce off into random spots as well. Yeah. When it's alien isolation noped out? Yeah, that's understandable. That is understandable. Alien Isolation is on the list of games that I go, wow, that's nice. You guys have fun with that. Is it gone? Yeah. Yeah, let's just clean up these a moment. Grab just 5 random units. Let's grab some troopers. Oh wait, no, there was one other thing I was going to show. Yeah, we do want troopers. Well, Arrow Trooper Xmas. And let's get a bunch of these. Now, you saw me just moments ago. You saw me moments ago throwing the glaive into the large cluster of enemies like this, and the way it was bouncing all around them whilst they were nicely grouped up. You saw that. Now, I'm giving it all of this build-up so that fate can step in and laugh at me and just everything will go right. But let's see. Yeah, now it's going to fucking go right, isn't it? Ah! That's not what happened last time I tested it. Did I use bombard ones instead? This is not what happened last stream. This isn't what happened last stream. Okay. Yeah, let's go with Toxin. Toxin is not electric. Maybe it influences just going better again. I don't know. It's something I've ever got? I know, yeah. That's why I'm doing this. Okay, now it's just not happening. Right. What I was attempting to demonstrate is that on the previous stream we tested this, for some reason overguarded enemies were interfering with the homing of the glaive, and so the glaive would just bounce off them and go off into distance reliably. Now that's not happening, and I don't know why. And I don't know why it was happening previously, other than overguard. I genuinely don't know what to tell you. Sorry, chat. Cheers, Dirty Badger. Could it be a distance thing? Could it be Venus formation? Honestly, at this point, I recommend check back to that VOD and see what happened with it. That's my genuine suggestion, because I am at a loss here. Yeah. From the regular terms, a friend of mine has only just started playing Warframe. They just acquired their Arc Queen for progress reference. Fair enough, that could be anywhere between Deimos and Saturn, but let's go with it. Want to join them, but not trivialize encounters. I'm thinking of limiting myself to gear that have similar MR requirements to their level, and only using flawed mods. Do you think this will be sufficient? Am I overthinking this? Oh my word, Dregory Term, do I have a thing for you. No one else take this from me. Let me grab this. Hold on. Oh god, how long ago did I make this now? Let's just scroll past it. One moment. There it is. I released this in July? I put this out in July? Wow, that's been a bit. Okay. Dregory. This video right here, I link for you in chat, is the one you want. This video entitled The 5 Stages of Builds for Introducing a Newbie to Warframe. You are introducing a newbie to Warframe. You want to make sure you have a build appropriate for getting through it. That right there will give you my personal walkthrough on how to do it. Find the stage that feels appropriate to them. Update yourself as their own opinion of the game changes. And you'll be good. I've got you a bill. I've got you a video guide ready to go for your exact question. Thank you very much for asking. Is this video on my site? Should be on the catalog, yeah. Exclamation mark catalog. I go kengineer.com/catalog. And we go down to the better. Let's see. Yep, 5 stages of introduced to newbies to Warframe. Yep, there it is. Control F newbie works. Have a video for every occasion? Not quite. Working on it. I think I should be done around about 2099? Yeah. About then I should be done. What I suggest is a fun primary. Sick and tired of the Torrid, but nothing seems to beat it. Well, there's your first problem. If you're defining a fun primary as beats the Torrid, the Torrid is exceptionally reliable and powerful. It is. So, broaden your horizons. Step back a little bit from power. Don't try to beat the Torrid. Try to have fun. Other primary incarnants are amazing. For example, I like using the Burston. Burston, which does things like this. Charged. Valence. Why not? These are level 200 Express units, by the way. Express Bombards, if I recall. Yeah. Now, not to oversell it, I do have a Riven on this. I have a crit chance Riven. It kind of go burr. It does a bit of work there, but regardless, you can still get most of that effectiveness to yourself, because this also has critical delay and galvanized scope, and that is the majority of the crit chance bonus right there. But yes, Burston is amazing. Bratton is amazing for a very similar effect as well. In terms of other bits and pieces, honestly, as a fun weapon, I enjoy using the Foreman Prime. It requires a little bit of buffage on its own. It's not amazing, but with a bit of work, it can indeed go blap. Or if you want something a little bit more explosive. No, we don't want Corpus. Corpus are weak. Again. If you want something a little bit more explosive, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a buff. Let's go... no, not gas. Let's go... raw. Let's wait for the timer on the one, just because it's shortest range. There we go. Hi, guys. I don't have any stacks. What do you think about that? And there you go. So if you don't want to use a globby laser beam of Incarnate Doom, you can instead just apply to your Corpus Overlords. And boom goes a Grenadier. Again, there will be limits to its effectiveness, but yeah. What happened? Why are they dead? I told them. I told them dark, dark secrets, like the ending of the Harry Potter films. Like, ew, Harry Potter, and so they died. True start. You saw it. Nothing else could be the explanation there. You saw exactly what happened, and it was exactly what I said. Hi, bombards. Oh, Xmas bombards, no less, which is a little bit more work to get through, so hold on a sec. Yeah, they're a little bit more resilient. Do I have any weapon stacks active? What arcane am I using on this? I don't actually see the arcane popping up. Hold on. Ew! Whoops, my bad. Sorry, I didn't even use my arcane. Let me try and do that better, shall I? My bad. That's a little bit better. Mirror, I've not made that a priority, not in the slightest. And I still won't be making it a priority. But there we go, yeah. Petra, unless it's strictly necessary, I'd say it's a little bit of a faux pas, wouldn't you say? Yeah. Hi, from Cat Centaur say, I know you're working on remaking How Long It Takes to Farm video. Do you plan to cover the Railjack Primes considering they're evergreen and different than normal Prime Relic farms? I do not plan to cover those that way, no. Do not plan to cover those that way. So here's the thing is that as much as they are Primes and they are evergreen to farm, I need to keep certain constraints within the system. Otherwise you're going to get people going, well, hang on, you could talk about how long it takes to get Vault, because Vault keeps coming back in the form of Barrow Relics. Well, hang on. Prime Resurgence is kind of always there. Well, hang on. What about the ones which are in just standard rotation? As soon as I cross that line into touching any Primes, there's a justification for any number of them. So I draw the line there, and Primes I've actually kind of covered in their own videos. Excuse me. How long it takes to farm Prime frames hasn't really changed since that original video I did on the Prime farm, which, by the way, bombed in comparison. Oh boy. How long was it, or longest? Nope, it was... The original ones were under the title longest, my bad. Longest. Yeah, so longest farming on the original video was 800,000 views. The Prime, 100,000. Which is still a great number of views, don't get me wrong. 100,000 is a very nice number of views on a video. But 1/8 of the viewership compared to the video that I'd released a few months earlier. You missed the god roll? I've taken it off. It's not on that gun. Hold on. There we are. Roll 175. Heat, fire rate, crit chance, minus damage to grenadier. It's not absolutely perfect. If it was minus to infested, it would be perfect. But it is still very, very good. Very, very good. It replaces a fire rate mod, it replaces a heat mod, and because one mod replacing two basically means we're buffing it, it's great. We hit the full crits. Look at that, 68.7% crit. Oh, that is a crit chance right there. And the heat it's below the viral, because we got 60% plus the innate cold. So the heat is still struggling, but we still got loads of heat. Yeah. The old one was damage, electricity, crit chance, minus infested. Which was still very, very good. The only reason I rolled it another 159 times was because I wanted heat, not electricity. That was it. That was the entire purpose of rolling. And I think it was worth it. I think that was worth it. But still, kind of wow. Do I have a Nautilus build? I don't know if I had one over on the YouTube channel. I don't really use Nautilus all that much. Oh, I did have a Nautilus build for the dishwasher, didn't I? Which is a sentence that makes no sense to no one who wasn't around at the time. Was it on here? Yeah, I think this was the one. So, I think this is the build that got Contagious Bond nerfed. Genuinely. It would apply status procs to enemies so effectively, thanks to Corden continuously bringing in new sets of enemies. It was so effective that it would crash the game. And the only way DE could fix that was to simply stop Contagious Bond from being so good. So that max 100 stacks there, that max 100, I did that. That's my patch note right there. I beat Warframe. They had to nerf me. I take that as a mark of success. There are not many video games that have a patch note because of me being too good, but this is one of them. There was also a patch note in EVE Online that I caused. Oh, we won't go into that detail. That one was more of a bug exploit. This was just power overwhelming. So yeah. In EVE? Yeah. Yeah, patch note got added to EVE Online. A feature fix because I found something that was objectively busted. So they had to fix it. Which is fine. But that was basically exploit level. It wasn't so much bug abuse as just the devs had done oops. And I found the oops and went, oh, does that actually work? Beep, bang. Oops, money printer. And yeah, I'm not stupid enough to abuse a money printer exploit. Test it, just enough to see that it actually happens. Sure. Exploit, that's how you get banned. Don't do that. Settles down, know if you get enough heavy units together, a heavy slam from Rubox with electric can crash the game. Did I get anything for reporting it or just a smile and a thanks? I didn't even get a acknowledgement, it got fixed. Which, to be fair, is the same as what happened here. It's not like D went, okay, yeah, so Kendanir won Warframe. I just kind of went, and then level 2 unlocked. New game plus. Contagious Bond no longer just deletes your game. It was a very successful moment. If you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend seeing just how ridiculous it got. If I search, I think Crash will just bring it up. Yep, there it is. This was November 2023, so it is a couple of years ago now. But there's the one. For those of you who haven't seen it, I highly recommend seeing what I'm on about there. No jokes, literally crashes the game. Yeah. From Gyatcho, if I've got your name correct. If not, I do apologise. All the same. Hi, been looking to spice up my Eurali gameplay. Already tried stuff like Jill Toxica and Carnons, unsurprisingly turns Elite Heavy Gunners into a fine mist. I was wondering if you had any niche or off-meta secondaries for me to try on her. Gatcho, have you ever heard of the Spore Lacer? And I think you're about to get an advert. No, wait, you got Twitch Turbo, is that, or Twitch Prime? Prime, you might still receive an advert right now. But if not, have you heard of the Spore Lacer? Because if not, you have not heard of it. Yeah, really? Let's grab this one. It's probably the better one of the ones. Marabima? Yeah, Marabima. That's the one. And then we go... Zagara's Gift. That's my Spore Lacer renamed. Okie dokie. Let's take off the Verglas. This is not a companion moment. In best showing your age again. Alright, so, I mean, if... Oh, we're not going to get the... Oh, thank you. Okay, then. They're over here now. Yeah, we're not going to get the fire rate boost because I'm not taking damage here, but I can still do this. If you just kind of want to, you know, paint the world in whatever color you choose. I mean, if you choose to make it a pale blue, I'm judging you. I want you to understand that. I am judging you. But yeah, so you can have whatever liquid splooge you choose there. If you go for pure white, I am also judging you. Let's allow them to shoot back. Oh no, they are shooting at me. Whatever shall I do? So if the bitrate looks a little bit horrible right now, it's because I have infinite ammunition with increased fire rate on this. If you wanted something a little bit different in terms of secondaries, Small Laser. It is a very effective kick gun with self-knockback, do be careful. But yes. And enjoy the extra fire rate. There's the ad. Yay! It took a moment. It took a moment. Twitch does this thing where it says ad break happening in 60 seconds and it counts all the way down to 1 second. The notification goes away. Okay, well, that means we're due the ad now. And how much longer was that? That was 2 minutes later. 2 minutes after the 1 minute countdown, it gives the ad. What even is the point of a countdown at that point? 300% inaccurate. I suppose only 200%, but still, it's out. And yes, that was Arcane Pistolier given the obscene amount of ammo, because 102% ammo efficiency basically means you don't run out of ammo. You get a headshot kill 60% of the time, you just keep shooting. That's it. You just keep shooting. This on top of Berliner Guardian, here giving us a... Where is it? Is it on this one? Yeah, here we go. Reload speed bonus of 200% in case we needed it. Fire rate bonus of 200%. Lasted for 31 seconds. Oh boy, how do you best believe that's going to be fun. And if the enemies are not dying quick enough, you can also give them 314% damage vulnerability. So you are hitting them 3 times faster. You are hitting them 4 times harder. That is a 12 times overall bonus right there with an infinite ammo explosive splooge gun on your alien. Yeah. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, that may be a way to go for you on your alien there. That is one that I have used plentifully for her, and it is very effective. It is very effective. Alright then. I have gone down a number of different avenues at this point and forgotten where I started. Oh yes, Kestrel. Yeah. Be honest with me, chat. If I did end up putting out a guide on Kestrel, and I'm not guaranteeing it at this point, but if I did put out a guide on Kestrel, would you be disappointed if I did a comparison that basically said, look, Zoros is better at heavy attack, Falcor is better at... Is it Falcor? I think it's Falcor is better at light attacks, and quite frankly, the Kestrel exists, but it doesn't do anything good. Also influence Gobert. Because I think that's basically what the video would come down to. It feels like I would be saying what I said for the Ultinox, in that, quite frankly, it's just gonna be a stocking filler. It still shows niche. What niche is that? What niche does the Kestrel Prime bring? I know it's unique trait. A unique trait is not a niche. ML fodder? Yeah. It's not unusable, it's just everything else is already better, and when it comes to Zoris, you just get the Zoris for free. They just hand them out from a quest. Bounces more influence procs? Yeah, if it hits. If. There is a short instead of full video. I don't know where I agree on that, because shorts aren't exactly quick to make. I mean, yeah, they're quicker than a long form video, absolutely, but you've still got to do the research and then bring it all together into the short. And shorts aren't the best for going through builds. Shorts are more for demonstrating an experience or for entertaining. Let's be honest, if whatever I've gone through a short feed and someone's like, oh, here's a build of putting monsters, I'm like, I'm not gonna pause and try and follow this or look at it on a tiny screen. No. Shorts of a clips. Shorts of a scroll. Is it at least better relative to how Orthodox sizes up with other options? Only because melee influence exists. If I'm quite honest. Only because melee influence exists. If melee influence didn't turn literally every melee capable of doing hybrid electric into a rune clear, then no. Petrovaski, are shorts worth it in general for you? That's a really tough question. A tough question which I barely explored the correct answer to. Because it's complicated is the real answer. It is just complicated. So shorts pay less per view, obviously. They're shorts. So in terms of an income basis, you need a hell of a lot more views to match it out. But they also take a lot less work to make compared to a long form, but then you have to keep up the churn of it, and you can't really get as in-depth into topics. They are much more slices of stuff, and Warframe doesn't really lend itself to a lot of those slices too well, and I'm also very unfocused when it comes to making clips out of live streams. Honestly, that is where shorts would be, I guess, the best for this channel, is clips from live streams. If y'all aren't already taking the clips, God knows who would care to see them on YouTube. Yeah, let's do a comparison here, because I'd say that there's not really a good comparison I can give you. Of the shorts that I put out, let's sort them by views. There was the absolutely amazing one that is still getting a lot of views today, which was the one I put out about the Sergeant being humiliated with Avara and Fluctus. That's on 2.3 million views. That one did really well. Skipping the one about where to start when you're new to Warframe, because that's on the front of the channel, so it's cheating. There's no Vanastruk. That combo at 500k. The Fenmore joke at 380k. The Grattler, what they have moments at 193k, and so on down from there. Because short, in terms of their revenue, is that much lower per view, per view. If we want to go on a revenue basis, which is about the fairest basis I can give, because this is still at the end of the day a business, I am intending to be able to pay my bills by the entertainment I do here. By the way, subscribe, you know, so I don't have to take shitty sponsors, please and thanks. Let's see, without giving particular figures, I just want the RPM. Where did they hide the RPM now? There we go. So that's the value on the short. I'll keep that number in mind. And then let's go to a recent long that did well. That one. RPM. There we go. So, on my most recent good video and most recent good short, I would get about 14 times as much per view on a long form than on a short. So for a 10,000 view long video, I would need 140,000 views on a short video for the same result. Now, that is video for video. Again, shorts can be produced faster. If I could produce 3 shorts in the time of 1 long, then effectively I'd only need, what, 50,000 views per short. But do you know if you get paid for shorts, someone goes and views and watch them fully, or is it based on watch time? The difference on shorts isn't about watching, watch time on those. It's because there's just adverts intermingled with shorts, and so just being present on the short feed is kind of the point there. What makes a short actually get paid is deserving to still be present, which kind of is watch time, but it's on a roundabout measure. You see, if it tests against, say, 1,000 people, and of those 1,000, almost everyone just goes, swipe, 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 just going past the video, then after those 1,000 or so people, YouTube goes, wow, people really did not connect with this, drops it in the bin. So technically watch time is the effect there. Whereas if 1,000 people get that short, and every single one of them watch it through, some of them re-watch multiple times over, they're like, what? YouTube goes, okay, cool. This is interesting to people. Send it. The views happen again. And if those next 1,000 people watch it and keep watching, send it again, repeat forever. That's basically all that YouTube's doing. There is more to it, and I've been in talks with a couple creators about this, and it's stupid. There is some really stupid stuff happening with YouTube Shorts algorithms. I won't go into detail there because we don't need to go into the minutiae. We only see half the picture anyway. The point is that it's about having something that is basically as watchable as possible. So for example, 148%. Yeah, I have 148% of people watching at 3 seconds. That is because out of all the people who've watched, so many people continued watching that it restarted, that it's kept the curve up above 100%. By and large, if a short isn't watched, early on, if a short is not watched by like 80 to 90% of people, it's pretty much dead. Once it's got past those early bits and it can spread into a wider and wider audience, then it can get lower and lower results and still be okay. But it needs to start off really good to show that it's worth it even to your close base. And truth be told, you don't have a lot of control over that as a creator. Either it's good enough and people watch and go, wow, this is great, and so YouTube agrees and sends it to more people, or they don't, something else catches their attention and the work was for nothing. It do be like that. You have a look at basically any creator that does shorts on the regular, because I don't. Shorts have not really connected with me as a creator, but let me see here. Who pops up on my feed a lot? This person does. Please do not autoplay some audio at me. Beg of ye. It did not. Good. It tried to, but I had it muted somehow. If I have a look there, this person, of their recent shorts, 1 million, 2.5 million, 4 million, 10 million, 4 million, 11 million, 7, 3, 7, 4, 2, 7, 5, 7, 3, 3, 10, 2. So you can see they're doing pretty damn consistent. It's all within the same order of magnitude, but there is still quite some variation. Honestly impressive just how consistent they are on that. Credit to them. Someone like myself, nowhere near that same level of consistency. I feel like I've really gone into a lot more detail than you asked for there, but there we go. There we go. But yeah, just going back on the whole, would I do a short about this? I think at best it would be for a clip moment of more despair about melee influence. I don't think melee influence needs another video of people going, wow, would you look at melee influence? It keeps on doing melee influence things. I think people would be dead tired of that. Oh, this was the throw setup, wasn't it? Ah, that's why it's not doing so much. And that's not the router. Yeah, if I did a big ol' thing of, oh yeah, so sure you could set it up to do this and this and jump through that hoop, bam, or melee influence go boom. That could probably be a short, because it doesn't need a video. And it'd be entertaining, so that anyone who's remotely familiar with Warframe could just appreciate what's happening there. But yeah. Do you see if it's subscribers or randoms that see your shorts more? Oh yes, I do actually have that kind of metric. So like on the short that's done really, really well, if I go to my audience tab, let's see, 93.3% of people who viewed that short were not subscribed to the channel. 93.3%. That is a lot. To compare, if we go to a recent good video of mine, I say good based on it got a bunch of views, it's been out a while. Audience there, 51% not subscribed. Quite a staggering difference there. But again, that's because I don't put out a lot of shorts, and shorts are pushed to more people. I sure as hell do not have 2 million subscribers. If I go for a different recent short, yeah, the Grattler one, which didn't go out to anywhere near as many people, the audience on that one was 71% not subscribed, which means obviously 29% was. Mirror Basket, if you're not famous for shorts, you don't get good views on shorts. Kind of. Short views can come from a number of locations, and YouTube is going to keep trying to test people uploading brand new content, but they can only really test it so far. At the end of the day, the algorithm has to decide what video to put in front of each person next. If I open up my phone and I swipe through 10 shorts, what is the 11th short going to be? When you consider that there are bajillion videos being uploaded every single day, that's a word now, deal with it. When there's that many videos being uploaded, how does YouTube choose what the 11th video is going to be? And I say 11th based on, well, the first 10 are almost certainly going to be in those channels that I've already been watching. It's going to want to give me more of those because I've been engaging with them. It knows I like those channels. Of course, they get the top spots. If it starts showing me crap straight away, I'm probably going to leave. YouTube doesn't want that. But once you get to the lower positions down, once we've exhausted the stuff from the recent uploads of channels that I do follow, then starts to just kind of try further out. But when you're one amongst many, you're not going to get tried out as often as the big guys are already known to a load of people. When 1 million people are watching a short from a channel every single day they upload, YouTube knows people like this short. Let's keep giving it to them. Of course that's going to generate the views. And if the creator is putting out shorts that people keep wanting to watch, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They've just done well. If you are not famous for shorts, if you've not created a presence, an expectation of value, then how do either viewers or YouTube know that you've got value to provide? That's what it really comes down to. And it's the same for long-form videos. It's the same for streams. It's the same for TV. If I mentioned that there is a TV show called The Pink Petal, how many of you are interested in watching this TV show I've just named? The Pink Petal. I haven't made it. I'm not involved in it whatsoever. There just happens to be a show that I'm neither endorsing nor slandering. It just happens to be called The Pink Petal. Do you care? Versus, Digital Extremes have announced a new anime, Warframes. Which one are you more likely to watch? Do you want to watch The Pink Petal, or do you want to watch Warframes the anime? You don't know which of these two is better, but you do know that you like Warframe. you do know that you trust DE to put out something good about Warframe. And it's just the same in all of Twitch, all of YouTube, all of TikTok and Instagram. When you already know that there is quality there to be had, might as well start with a safe bet. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, I see who our contrarians are. Yeah. I am not surprised at the names of our contrarians today. Not on one of you. Warframe sci-fi series would go hard? It would, yeah. I wouldn't mind it being a gritty one either. Like, let Warframes be a focus, but not the characters of the show. Have it be the Tenno operatives. Have it be Lotus's others that we are working with. Give them serious value and have the Warframes alongside them. Bring in the Corpus, bring in the Grineer as antagonists in their own ways, the complex politics of it, the gritty war side of it, sure, why not? The Warframes holding that mythical power edge to it. Just when a Warframe gets involved, you know, okay, well, this is a done fight. The question is, how's it gonna go? I think that would be cool, yeah. I think that would be cool. You're thinking a show that was just gameplay? Well, of course not. Shows aren't just gameplay. Or at least they shouldn't be, and this is what a lot of game-to-film or game-to-show companies get wrong. You can't just have gameplay. No. Games are not movies, and movies are not games. The way they tell a story, the pacing, the engagement, the focus, the cinematography, it's all completely different. It's like difference between a podcast and a YouTube video. I'd say, yeah, difference between a no video podcast and a YouTube short. Very different thing. May I ask what the god roll is? You may indeed. It is on mere Verglas, and it is this beautiful bit right here. One moment. Heat, fire rate, 190.9% critical chance, and minus damage to Grineer. One faction of many. It's a spicy one, that one. They're just saying, you have the perfect voice for someone who makes like 6-hour-long Warframe video essays. I hear that. From a lot of people, yeah. I've had people suggest that they should get into just straight up voice acting. Screw the YouTube stuff. We'll see on that. That's not exactly booming industry, is it? AI. Oh. Let's say maybe like a normal day in the Grineer ship, when the Tenno come, it's like Divine Judgment. Along that line, yeah. I think like, to give a very lowbrow comparison, think like a lot of the film of Avengers Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War, you've got all of the threats, all of the build-up, you've got the good guys, bad guys, obvious side of stuff there, the intertwined choices, the flawed individuals. And then something with basically the power of a Warframe hits the field. That is Thor. Thor just kind of rocks up and goes, right, everything here is now obliterated. Lightning goes that way, lightning go this way. What's that? There's a guy with every single Infinity Stone in the universe. Still gonna hit the guy and near enough mortally wound him. Yeah, that's basically Warframe drops in. Just take away the voice lines. We don't need the quips. You take that kind of power disparity, but gritty sci-fi, and I think you'd be there. In terms of gritty, think like Battlestar Galactica. Think you're Babylon 5. the grit where rockets are rockets. Atmosphere is a thing you have to actually consider. When someone gets shot, they don't just go, ooh, ow, oh no. They go, oh. Yeah. Back from therapy, please let me need to go back. Okay, fair enough. Ow. One description of a good sci-fi show, and Queen's already over it. Alright. Sorry if I've accidentally hit anything there. Sarah Connor Chronicles with Terminator? I've not actually engaged that, couldn't say. Yeah. We could dream. We could always easily dream, could we not? Could I say my way to introduce my friend to Warframe to use unload Warframe weapon for a few missions. Once you get the hang of things, use a fully min-max build. I can feel the absolute highest point of 10 of power, so you start craving the power you just witnessed. Yeah, fair. I think that is not too far off a 5-second summary as to what I put in the video of the same topic, so fair enough. There's a feather. Mirror Lab, it doesn't exist! Oh my god. Stop asking and talking about the Pink Petal show. I took random words and threw them together as a reference point of something that doesn't exist. That was the whole point. Ah! All of y'all. See what you done. See what you done, Mirror Lab. Don't smile. Do not be proud. Absolutely not. Anyway. Mirror Lab, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs out to the community. You can be proud of this. Much appreciated there. That's gone out to Karitasa, to Something Wong, for goodness sake, to Trebity, to Deck It Out, and to Karamble. Really, thank you very much for the gifted subs. Much appreciated there. Alright, and on that note, I think it's about time we do a giveaway as well. Why not? Let me just get up the giveaway program. Let me just... There it is. Let's get that set up. We're going to do a 75 plat giveaway courtesy of DE. So, we don't need the background music for a moment. We don't need my face for a moment. Bye! Let's open the draw. Exclamation mark enter in the chat if you'd like to win 75 plat. One of you here today will be walking away with that there. Exclamation mark enter for a chance to win that there. We'll open this draw just for a couple minutes here. Give you all an opportunity to get on in on that there. Absolutely. Whilst this loads up as well, the update for what is coming on Friday, for those of you who have missed the details or just forgot about it, this Friday is a Warframe dev stream. So of course we'll be co-streaming that, because y'all do seem to enjoy when I do that. So we'll be co-streaming the dev stream on Friday, find out what the Canadians have been up to since the drop of the old piece. See what they have in store for us. And after that, I'll figure that out. Probably. Yeah, to get in on this black giveaway, as I say, exclamation mark enter. If you don't understand why we got a whole load of Lavos here, that's because Lavos is the default skin in the giveaway. If you are a subscriber or a VIP, you can change your avatar with exclamation mark pick frame and the name of the avatar you wish it to be. Otherwise, it's still a skin. The giveaway is completely fair nonetheless. And Mirror Lab, thank you very much for giving a sub over to Snake Raider. Much appreciated there. You know what? Yeah, we'll keep this draw open until the hype train ends. I think that's a fair way of doing it. We've now got a very literal timer on the screen. When the hype train comes to an end, that is when the giveaway shall be drawn. So yeah. That is how many minutes you've got to get in on this. Waiting 3 more minutes? Yes, we are, Petra, because I could also answer your questions along the way there. Gives people plentiful opportunity to join in on that. And yeah, when you look at it, we have got, what, 100 odd people watching, 34 people enter. There's a few people who need to figure out how to enter. Hello, Sarah. I've heard nothing of the sort. Don't know what you're on about. Genuinely don't know what you're on about. Nightmare, you want pick frame Zaku. That's the command you're looking for there. Pick frame Zaku. There we go. Now when you enter into the giveaways, future ones if you've already entered this one, or this one now if you haven't already entered into it, you'll have Zaku as your appearance. Yours indeed. Axolotl. Just went and checked my shorts on YouTube. That Fenwell one. Sorry, that one. Chef's Kiss. Absolutely incredible. No notes. Oh dear. There have been a few copycats of that one, I've heard. Quite a few copycats of that particular short. Not all of them really understanding the humour of it, but there we go. That was bubbling in my head for a few days. I don't know what started it. I don't know why or how it started, but it just coalesced eventually that I could mess with every single letter in the exact same way, and I just had to make that short. Especially after telling it to my housemate, the plan, and yeah, they just silently turned on the spot, left, went into their bedroom, and shut the door. So, okay, yeah, that's the correct response. That is the correct response. Sorry, Tempest, what had you confused? Goatee type happenings? That's the thing. Goatee, fish, whole thing. Like, again, people... I get that the whole, oh, goatee can pronounce as fish thing existed for a long time, and yeah, it's lovely to point the finger at, haha, look at English, it's weird. The whole point with the Fenwell one was to be so ridiculous as to go, how is there a silent version of every single one of these letters? A silent P is already weird. A silent H we can acknowledge. A silent E we're all familiar with. But then a silent N, M, O, R? What? How? And for those of you who do not understand what you've been missing out on, rewatch the short and pay attention, Tempest. Rewatch it and pay attention. There are some people who didn't pay enough attention, got to the end of the short and went, no, I wanted to hear how it's pronounced. You do. Turn your volume up. Stop listening to it on the bus, annoying everyone. I do indeed pronounce it at the end of the short. Exactly the way as described. You have shorts table in your browser? Well, fair enough. That's... Do you need me to play it on stream for you, Petra? Are we this far gone that you need me to put it on the stream for you? That would be nice. Oh, for goodness sake. Well, first of all, the hype train has wrapped up, so now it's time we do the draw. Let's see who is going to be our platinum winner on this giveaway here. Who is it going to be? It's not going to be Ray. It's not going to be It's not going to be Kylo. It's not going to be Elliot. It's not going to be Quintus. It's not going to be Video Ray. Nope. Our winner today, with Petra just at the very last there. No, it's Ductile Wheel of the 465
Excellent
variety.
work, Tenno. The extraction point is up ahead.
Congratulations there, Ductile Wheel. That platinum is indeed going to be yours. And we've already got your IGN details, so that'll be sent along to you in the next couple of weeks there, once you do the next batch. Look forward to that. Spend it all at once. Go crazy. Why not? That's to be spent. Alrighty then. Let's see if I can set this up correctly. If I go that off for the moment, and then we need to... Not yet, me. Not yet. Okay. I think we can minimize all the rest out of the way. There we go. Fair warning, I use YouTube in light mode, as you can see by the now greater glow on my face here. So if you are indeed watching in a dark and dingy room, brace yourself. Light is coming. This is the short you've been missing out on. Pronunciation of many things in Warframe can surprise all of us, like this weapon here. You may think it's called the Femmore, but I've been doing some research and found that's not true. Let's break it down letter by letter. The P is pronounced like in cube. The H matches the American way of saying herb. The E is like the second E in tease, such as to tease apart. The N is like in hymn, one you might sing. The M is like in mnemonic. The O is like in phoenix. Lastly, the R sounds like the first R in father, as in the British way of saying something is farther away from their father. So when we bring this all together, the name of this weapon is actually... The pronunciation of many things in Warframe can surprise... And there you go. The name of this weapon is actually... Oh, yeah. So much why on here. Well, I've hidden the sidebar. All of the bits and pieces will be over that side, and comments are what pop up over here. So yeah, that's why there's a whole bunch of empty space, and also shorts are designed for mobile screen, so it would fill up the whole window. But yeah, that is my guide to correctly pronouncing the Fenmore. It was an absolute troll. Some people didn't quite get that, but yeah. You should probably pick it up the moment I say the second E in tease. Come on, if you can't see where we're going at that point, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, that and other shorts available on that channel there. Including, and for anyone who has somehow missed it, the Sergeant one. Oh, it's broken. Yep, it broke. Sometimes YouTube fails to load shorts correctly. So there we go. Right. Let's get that up onto here. For those of you who missed the 2.3 million and why that happened, so can I extract the moment he dies? This is indeed actually a stream clip. With a little bit of text editing, of course. Shit, there will be a quiz. Pathing. Which one is he? Which one is he? Is he this one? So, can I extract the moment he dies? And that is how you kill the Sergeant from extraction. That is how you kill the Sergeant from extraction. Quiz time, all of y'all. Quiz time. What weapon did I use? It's right there in the video. Fluctus. Interesting. You're absolutely correct. Now, for those of you who didn't know it was the Fluctus, and you were watching this video, how do you think you would find out it was the Fluctus? Would you, A, check the video description, B, watch just a couple seconds longer to when it says deploying Fluctus on screen, or C, would you go into the comments and be the 32nd person to ask me, what weapon is that? Sorry, I don't know why I just said Fenmore there. Just read the first 20 that asked it. Now, granted, it's only like 1% of 1% of people being so daft, but it's just like, of all the things you could do, you have to open the comments to leave a comment. Just read the comments. Just read. Ah. C'est la vie. Such is life. Anyway, that is the situation with that, and that is my particular brand of page. And if you lot come across a moment on these streams where you think, you know what, Ken, honestly, that would make a great clip, whether you're watching it live or if you're seeing it on a VOD replay, honestly, let me know. If it's on Twitch, make a clip of it. Let me know about it. If you're seeing it as a VOD over on YouTube, comment with a timestamp. Let me know. This would make a great clip. If you're seeing a situation like that, we think, honestly, that should be a short, go for it. Hell, if you're absolutely correct, if it turns out to be an amazing short and just goes to the moon, nice. Might do something for you in return. Who's to say? But all for now, that is where we're gonna wrap it up on this one. Really cheer for Warframe? Yes, Eurali doesn't hold back on being cheery at all, does she? Fun fact, Pixel Waved, are you familiar with Noko? Just before we wrap it up here, are you familiar with Noko, a Pixel Waved? I won't spoil this, just in case. I'm out of tea, goddammit. Baby Tenant just started 2 days ago. Aw, welcome to the game. Absolutely. So, if we grab Noko here, and just make sure... I think this is the right set. Is it Noble or Agile? No, it's Agile, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, we just got Noko here. Yep, just chilling. And... Turns out these two are just such good friends. Eurali will appear out of nowhere to have a dance with Noko. And I'll be honest, I do love that animation. It is just the right level of cute. It is just the right level of cute, absolutely. I agree, Petra. It would be nice if it used my Eurali setup, but yeah. There are some very happy, cheery, bouncy frames. And then you get... Was it... No. It was... Hold on. Was it this setup? And then you get this. Then you get this. Welcome to Warframe, newbie Tenno. You've got a lot yet to discover. We're going to wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for joining in. Hope you've had yourself a wonderful stream. That Wisp is the Wisp Dex skin, which means the next time the Dex stuff rolls around, you can get a hold of that again. But the animation, that's from Kora Rushu. I'll see you on Friday for the Warframe dev stream. We'll see some more of what is up and coming next. And, Wisp, I'm running out of words to say here. Wisp, come on, timing. Figure it out, Wisp. Come on. Wisp! Are there no idols in here? Did they not? I thought they did. Alright, we'll just do that and then finish. See you on Friday.
pun? How humiliating.